Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm supposed I could take sweet victory. I know this life meant for me.
Adam, what's your point? The future looks bright.
My handshake is better than anything I ever saw. It's right here.
You are a one-of-one?
My son's right there.
I don't think I've ever said this before.
All right, folks. Hope you had a good, happy 4th of July. It's not like anything happened this weekend as if Musk maybe starting a new party called the America Party, causing the stock Tesla on Monday yesterday to drop nearly $80 billion of valuation just in a single day. And then at the same time, they dropped this one guy. They claim he's a bad guy. Now he's not a bad guy. He's an okay guy. People are trying to figure this guy out. His name is Jeffrey. His last name, I think, is called Epstein. And they show a cell that he was in, that everything's okay, nothing happened to him. Then there's a minute break. Then it doesn't match the CBS one that they show where the cell was. The windows are cut in different ways, so how quickly were they able to cut the windows? There's videos. He's not guilty of doing anything, no blackmail, nothing like that. Market reacted. People are sitting there saying, what the hell is this all about? Possibly the biggest fumble they've had of the administration so far because there's been so many contradictions. And what's so funny is, this is happening at a time where they're having so many other victories. Vinny's good friend, Bibi, was in town, and they had a meeting with the president. And at the meeting, they explained the fact that, he believes the president deserves a Nobel
Peace Prize.
Peace Prize, and, that conversation took place. And there's a bunch of other stories that we're going to get into. So let me read off some of these stories for you guys. Here, spike in Trump UGs fleeing America, but they'll quickly regret it. Scott Besson says, Dems who oppose Medicaid work requirements believe poor people are stupid, is what he said. Besson teases new August 1st deadline for tariffs as Fed chair can't cut rates for Trump like Trump wants. Trump says U.S. to start notifying trade partners of tariffs as high as 70%. Trump's starting to notice how much money we're making off of tariffs. He's like, listen, let's raise it on everybody. Not necessarily everybody, but he realizes the income. Trump says tariff letters to 12 countries signed, going out by Monday. Some people are saying that Scott Besson may be replacing Jerome Powell here soon. I think he was even asked about it. Tom will give you some insight on that. Musk's America Party could split Republicans. Trump allies fear. Elon Musk launches America Party. We're going to have a lot of talk about that. Besson even reacts and says something that was very interesting. Mark Cuban may want to team up with Elon Musk. Think about that one. Anthony Scaramucci may want to team up with Elon Musk. Pretty much anybody who hates Trump and is angry with Trump may want to team up with Elon Musk. There's a lot of talk there. DOJ, I told you about Jeffrey Epstein. They found no Jeffrey Epstein client list and confirms it was suicide. Nothing, it's like all these people that think something happened. Nothing really happened there. Russia's minister dies by suicide hours after getting fired by Putin. Can you imagine that? You lose your job. You're like, shit, they're going to kill me. Let me just kill myself first. Boom, right? And then you got military experts weigh in on China's new mosquito-like spy drones. I don't know if you saw this one or not. It's 0.6 millimeters, by the way. 0.6 millimeters. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, makes first public appearance since Iran-Israel war started and doesn't at all say, death upon America. It's a lot of loving chants, freedom to America, love towards our friends Israel, very friendly. And then Tucker does an interview.
You have a Pope-mobile with a little glass top, maybe?
Tucker does an interview.
I need one.
Tucker does an interview with the existing president of Iran. And, Tucker asks him a question about, what does death upon America mean? You have to watch it. It's actually comical for somebody who lived in Iran. You have to hear what he has to say. So Netanyahu heads to D.C. for the deal of the century. And then Ackman backs Adams to stop socialist Mamdani, calls on Cuomo to drop out. This Mamdani, a lot of interesting things coming up with Mamdani. Apparently when Mamdani went to Colombia, he was black, according to his application. And some stuff is really coming out here with him. New York, ready for this one, folks? Check this out. Imagine if you are a cop in a city and you find out this guy named Mamdani is about to become the mayor of that city. And you hear retirements, New York PD, retirements reportedly hit historic highs. Cops are saying, I'm out. I don't want to be a cop for you. Definitely not when you're the mayor. And union says Zohran Mamdani could make it even worse. Former AOC backer has a stark warning for young Mamdani fans. They're selling a fantasy that doesn't work. Weather agency under fire after failing to warn of Texas flood. And you should see this one tweet this lady said. You know, she worked as a pediatrician at this one hospital. Where did she work at? Was she a teacher? Anyways, we have
teacher. And there's another one, too, I got you that you're going to love.
Amount you need for a minimum quality of life in America revealed by Adam Sosnick. And then we got a few other things here, stories that we'll get into. Anyways, so this is going to be a hot podcast. Last night I had the, as we're going through everything that's going on right now with the market, the lemon box that we launched, okay, this campaign that we launched with the messages, Rob, if you can go to it. I absolutely love the stories that we're getting, the testimonies that we're getting, Rob. Okay, the Zested Forward, that you open it up with a video being played with the hat and the merch being in it, and it's a heartfelt message to people that are going through tough times today. If you haven't yet sent this to anybody, listen, I challenge you, I encourage you, send it to someone, see their reaction. Here's some of the notes we got recently from 3 people that have been using the lemon box. Here's somebody named Patrick, phenomenal name. Hi, guys. I gave it to my wife as part of her Mother's Day gift. She's a national sales manager for a yacht company and found it to be very encouraging. She teared up when she received it, and I'm sure she will open the box again and listen to it over and over and over again. Thank you. Rob, if you can go to the next one. Here's something from Karen. The recipient loved the lemon box with the hat and video. It was just what she needed to pull her out of a bad time. Thanks for such creative ways we can express love and encouragement to people who need just a bit of recognition. And then the next one here, we have a Magnia. Bought this box for my son who was going through some hard times. When he got it, called me crying because he said it was exactly what he needed and thought this gift was the most thoughtful thing he had received. If life gives you lemons, make lemonade is a simple message and a great message for so many. PBD's message in the box was awesome. Loved it. So if you got somebody that's going through things, folks, job, career, family, marriage, personal life, go to vtmerch.com, zest it forward, send it to somebody. Sometimes we love getting stuff for ourselves, but sometimes we just want to make somebody else's day. You can't wait for them to message you and tell you how grateful they are for that. And on top of that, ladies, you've been asking about it, and my wife, some other ladies, Kim, others been saying, Pat, we need some sports gear for the ladies. So here's what we have now as well that's officially launched on vtmerch.com. Go for it, Rob. So make sure the golf cart doesn't come with the purchase.
Okay, Taylor. Alicia. Natalia, Lay. We got some fit ladies that work for people.
We got a gym.
I'm a little offended that you guys didn't ask me to be in it. I could have worn a wig.
No, we're not doing that. We want real ladies is what we want, not the one you dress up to be sometimes, Vinny. So go to vtmerch.com, place your order. When you do, you will receive a VT, I Love VT keychain. Gang, we know most of our listeners are men, and we know most men, what we tend to do is we tend to procrastinate. The ladies will buy gifts for you. Guys, go buy some gear for your wife, for your girlfriend, for your loved ones, and send it to them. Surprise them. Go to vtmerch.com. Make someone's day today. All right, let's get right into it. First story I want to get into, Vinny, with your permission. I know you want other stories for us to get into.
I can't believe you're not.
I know you want me to go into Bloomberg, economy, all that other stuff. Fine. I've chosen to go into the Jeffrey Epstein story first I know you don't want us to go this direction, but we'll do it. So here we go. Story comes out, ABC News. DOJ FBI review finds no Jeffrey Epstein client list, confirms suicide. That's the memo that comes out. And Rob, I think you may have a video on this one, not just one. You got a lot of videos that we're going to be going through, folks, on this one here. So to remind folks, as we're going through this, Justice Department and FBI review ordered by President Trump, appointed leadership found no evidence that notorious deceased financier Epstein kept a client list of associates whom he blackmailed or conspired with to victimize dozens of women, stating that investigators did not cover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. The review released hours of reported footage, perpetrated footage, confirming Epstein died by suicide in Manhattan jail in 2019. The DOJ memo states, perpetuating unfounded theories about Epstein serves neither of those ends. Now, Attorney General Pam Bondi faced criticism from Trump supporters for delays in releasing Epstein's case files, which she attributed to tens of thousands of hours. This is one of the videos. Rob, is this one of the original videos when she talked about it?
Yeah, so I have February, March, and April of this year, 3 different instances where Pam Bondi talks about the Jeffrey Epstein client list. This is from February.
Go for it. So this is the first one.
Maybe releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So that's the first one.
So have you
Got
seen
it.
anything?
That's the first one. Then it goes to the next one. Go for it, Rob.
And the FBI handed over a couple hundred pages of documents. But, you know, Sean, I gave them a deadline of Friday at 8 a.m. to get us everything. And a source had told me where the documents were being kept, Southern District of New York, shock. So we got them all by, hopefully all of them, Friday at 8 a.m., thousands of pages of documents. I have the FBI going through them, and Cash is also, now that we have Cash here, it's a game changer, of course, and Cash is going to, Director Patel, is going to get us a detailed report as to why.
So pause this. So far we know. Now go to the next one, Rob. And this is after O'Keefe Media Group found
the
a
restaurant.
video.
The restaurant, right.
Yeah, the restaurant. So after O'Keefe Media Group found the video, and Pam Bondi, this is what she had to say. Go for it.
Yeah, the FBI, they're reviewing, there are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims. And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going through that. I haven't seen that statement, but I'll call them.
You can pause that here. And then this is what, Rob? This is
Alina Habba. This is her with Piers Morgan back in February, where she talks about the Jeffrey Epstein client list and the names being revealed.
Go for it.
But in this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable. Let's talk about the reverse. I believe in accountability. So you have to now go through your process. Now, I won't say they're guilty until they go through their time in court. But again, now it's time for accountability. We have seen for so many years, Pierce, in this country, many investigations, subpoenas, testimonies in Congress, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a general frustration with accountability. We take it halfway. We don't take it home. And I really believe that now with Cash and Pam, there will be accountability.
All right. So you can pause it. Now, we got a lot of other clips, okay? Rob, if you can go to the one clip about the video released of the cell, okay? So they dropped the video footage of the cell, okay? Assuming this is the cell, but it doesn't match the one from CBS. So what's the key factor here, Rob? Because it skips a minute, right? Isn't there a clip where it skips a minute and we don't see a minute of, okay, so this is the one that, tell us, Rob, this is one from CBS.
Yeah, so 60 Minutes did an in-depth expose into Jeffrey Epstein's alleged suicide. This was from the footage that they filmed at the prison that Jeffrey Epstein was being held at. They claim, CBS 60 Minutes claims this is the cell that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself in. But if you take a look at the CCTV footage that was released yesterday, you can tell the doors are different.
No, this is not even the same. Doors are different. The glass is different. The color is different. The wall is not flat. The other one is flat. Press play on this one, Rob.
And then you'll see right down here, Pat, where the timing is.
Yeah.
11:58. It counts all the way up to 11:59 and skips 11:59 to midnight. Keep a look at the left corner right there.
So minutes. So let's assume it was it. It skips a minute. Doesn't match the one from CBS. There's just so many contradictions. Maybe the biggest fumble. It's not maybe. It is the biggest fumble of the administration's one of the items that they were trying to attack and address so far in the first 6 months of being in office, 5.5 months of being in office. Vinny, your thoughts on this entire matter here?
There's a guy, I'm pretty sure time you guys are going to know, George Orwell. Was that his name?
Yes.
George Orwell, who said, the party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command, which basically means when the totalitarian regime wants full control, it doesn't just lie. It forces you to deny what you see and hear with your own senses. Okay, this is one of the biggest, not only slaps in the face. I mean, I knew we were never gonna see anything like the guy suicided himself in jail. We were promised all this stuff. Everybody's lying. Okay, Cash Patel, and we talked about this earlier, Pat. I want to know when they came in with all these promises, who is the main guy? Who is the top person? It's not Trump. I hate when people are like, oh, Trump was with girls. No, I don't want to hear none of that shit. Trump was never with little kids. The left would have jumped on his ass earlier. Who is the main blackmailed person that's holding this from coming out? Who is the top? Who's the main person? Okay, because we all know. You saw it from Yelena Haba. You saw him from Pam Bondi. He had cameras and they had terabytes of information. That's billions of dollars of evidence on all these people, Pat. And Alex Acosta, do you remember this guy, Robbie? He was a DOJ official. He gave Jeffrey Epstein the sweetheart deal in 2008. He was quoted by saying he was told to, and I quote, to back off of Epstein because he belonged to intelligence. And then mysteriously, he had 11 months of DOJ emails to him that in that time period that mysteriously disappeared. Then you have Maria Farmer, who worked for Epstein, who confirmed every pinhole, every area in there was recorded, and they know it. So somebody has that. And here's my thing, Pat. Stop gaslighting us. Stop bullshitting, because we all know what the deal is, okay? We all know. And apparently, if you're a pedophile, your job should be to get as powerful and as rich and get into politics, because rich pedophiles, you walk away and you dodge the raindrops. Nothing happens to you. You're untouchable. If you're poor, guess what? If you're a poor pedophile and you're broke, you wind up in a freaking kitchen with Chris Hansen and they go, oh, sit down, and then they show you your text. It's disgusting. I think Pam Bondi and all these people, they have lied to us. She should actually resign, Pat. If that at that level, if you're bullshitting us and you're lying like that, resign. Dan Bongino, people are like, well, what do you want them to do? Is the whole system going to come down? Dan Bongino and all these people, if you're a real Christian, if you're a real person like that, Pat, I would come out and say the freaking truth and resign and leave and just tell the truth. The truth has to come out. And then notice how random it is. All this stuff's coming out. And then Virginia Giuffre, 2 months ago, she gets hit by a car, no police report, no nothing. And then she even says, she's like, I'm going to die in the next couple of days. And then she dies. And it's always this suicide stuff. It's just, I'm fed up with the BS. We all know what is going on, but we can't prove it. And now what's going to happen? The American people, in a week, we're going to forget about this. In 1 week, you're going to forget about them lying their asses off to us, and it's ridiculous. It pisses me off.
Adam, thoughts?
I knew Vinny was going to be fired up about this. So Jeffrey Epstein, at this point, I'm not even sure what's real and what's a rumor at this point. You know, people like Vinny, and I mean this sincerely, wake up every day and they're like, where's the Epstein files? Where are we at? That's not me. This isn't in my top 3 things. But at this point with Epstein, we are not even sure what's real, what's rumor, what's myth, what's mystery. He's part monster. He's part complete mystery. We're not even sure what's happening.
What do you think?
So,
what do you think he is?
Here's what I think. So let me just go down some facts here. So we arrested the guy that had the ownership of the island, the sex island. We arrested the lady that was allegedly bringing women to the island, to the sex island. But we haven't arrested or held anybody accountable for who was on the island. So there's a missing ingredient here. So what's the missing ingredient? It's, as I always say, follow the money. Who are these people? I would suspect are the richest, most powerful people in the world. So here it is. Who do you want to please? Who do you want to upset? You have the elites, and then you have what I would call the angry mob. The elites are whispering, yo, bro, if you're talking to this, I'm telling you right now, there's a bit. The mob are yelling, bro, I want to see the blah, blah, blah. You're going to upset somebody. So in my estimation, whether it's Pam Bondi, whether it's Trump himself, whether it's Bongino, whether it's Cash, they're saying the following. We're going to upset somebody here. If this thing comes out, we're going to have the richest, most powerful people in the world who we need, whether it's Bill Gates, whether it's Leon Black, whoever it is, we need them on our team because they know all the dirty secrets out there. We can't upset these guys. At the same time, we're going to upset some angry, loud, mob-type voices who are not going to let this go. So there's these two competing voices. Who do you want to upset? Who do you want to please? Do you want to please the elites or do you want to please the mob? And at this point, they're just siding with the elites.
Tom.
So I'm disappointed. I'm also disgusted. Do we know for sure if he was Mossad or MI6 or is a truly an intelligence asset? We had a lot of people who seemed believable to say, look, this guy was intelligence. That's why I couldn't prosecute him way back when. And he got the little hand slap deal and then it went away. And that's, to me, that's kind of disgusting. You know, I don't know for sure what happened. I don't know for sure where he is, but I know for sure one thing. You just put all of the facts as we see them. You know, just Pam Bondi says this in a restaurant, says this to a camera, now says this. Kash Patel says this, and Dan Bongino says this. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino do an interview, and they look like this. I can see all those facts and go, you know, this is fishy. This is terrible. This is horrible. And I'm disgusted, and I'm really disgusted. History has allowed us to go back and look at the Warren Commission for what it was. The Warren Commission was a sham to produce a document about the Kennedy assassination. Supreme Court Justice Earl Warren chaired it, invited Alan Dulles to it, who was tight with LBJ, and now we know because certain documents have been leaked that the CIA was with Oswald, helped Oswald in Russia. And we now see a few of these things to the point that if you go to the National Historic Place at the sixth floor of the Book Depository in Dallas, you put on headphones and the U.S. government, who runs the tour, tells you are about to hear multiple shooters and gunshots. So now they're not even on one shooter, Oswald. History has taken it down. And then, LBJ set up. It's just so funny. And then Alan Dulles, Gerald Ford was on the Warren Commission, and they produced a document with a magic bullet. And we look back now and we say that there's no way that happened. It was just a complete sham. And I feel like, is history repeating itself? Say, okay, well, we've looked at everything and never mind what we said publicly, never mind what you saw people do, never mind statements that have actually been made. You know what? There was nothing there. Nobody was intimidated and there was no client list. Are you kidding me? We got flight logs, and now you're looking America in the face, and you're saying this.
Yeah, so Judge Joe Brown was on Alex Jones, okay? And you know who Judge Joe Brown is. We have him on the podcast.
He was
incredible. He's right here. He's signed here.
He was incredible.
He said, Rob, I know it's a 3-minute clip. Can you get to the point of when he actually, you find it, but here's what he says. He says the president is using all the information he has to hold the establishment accountable and, what's the word? Not held hostage. What's the word?
Leverage them the other way.
Leverage them the other way. This is his way of arresting and holding the establishment accountable. Now, to people who are in that game, there's a clip that Tate posted yesterday where he says, this is above your pay grade. You're not somebody that's going to know what's going on. I don't know when he gets into it, when he talks about what's going on here. If you don't know about it, you don't know about it. These are deals that are being done at the higher level. And he said this on the podcast when he was here with us. Rob, is this it?
Yes.
Go for it.
You talk about the Epstein list. I would argue it's a very similar scenario. It's all about money. It's all about who has the money and controlling the money. Is America as a country prepared to upset all of its richest people? I don't know. Is it? Is it prepared to upset all of its richest people to appease bloodthirsty brokies who don't even care about justice? They just want the drama.
Yep.
Another question, because I would argue that the murders that happen every day on the street are very interesting, but no one cares about that. MS-13 and all this shit, no one really cares about that. But this Epstein list they really care about. They want justice, sure, but it's a drama. It's interesting. They want to find out. They're curious. And I'm asking you, as a professional, you're in charge of a country. Your primary objective is to keep your oligarchy happy, to keep the wealth inside of your nation, and to make them obey you when it comes to sanctions and such other things, and to ensure that the U.S. dollar becomes and stays the predominant currency globally. There's a bunch of bloodthirsty brokies on the internet who barely pay taxes who want to go through a list. Who are you going to prioritize? Who do you care about? I'm not saying it's fair.
I got a question.
But anyone who believes...
pause. I got a question for you as you're going through this. I wrote out a tweet, Rob, if you can go to my tweet. Do you have the clip on what he says? Is that the main part or no?
I'm still looking for it, but I can get to your tweet.
Go to the tweet if you could. So I wrote out a tweet. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it's long, but I shortened it for you. When they announced what they announced, right? This is a terrible look for the FBI and the DOJ. No one believes it, not as haters, not as supporters, including Ghislaine Maxwell doesn't believe it. So I said, okay, I have a ton of questions, but let's start with a few possibilities. Maybe they're right. Maybe nothing happened. Okay? I don't believe it. Number two, maybe they know something the rest of us don't know. It's above our pay grade. Maybe. Maybe there's a ton of evidence of people being held hostage through blackmail that helps keep the whole thing together, right? Mossad, CIA working collectively together, blackmail, accountable, hostage, whatever you want to call it. Fourth one, maybe he was actively working with Mossad, sending intel to them to empower Israel. Maybe that's what it is. Here's a few other questions to continue. If there was nothing the recording found on Epstein, yet the FBI or DOJ want to gain trust from the people, arrange a Ghislaine Maxwell interview with somebody and put a lie detective desk there. Use Megyn Kelly. If you really want the American people to believe, do that. Why did Pam Bondi act disturbed of what she claimed was found in those videos? Why did Cash and Dan Bongino, two men who were convinced of what really happened, change? 3 hours we spent with Mark Epstein. And when I'm talking to Mark Epstein, I asked him about a guy named Leon Black. 150. Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, was at our cigar lounge just a few months ago. We did a 2-hour interview with the guy, okay? No camera on him, Rob. I think you were in the room when that interview took place.
You didn't show his face whatsoever.
Never showed his face. We saw his face, but he never showed his face. I asked him about why would Leon Black pay your brother $158 million? And then if you remember, Rob, Mark Epstein brought up a name that we didn't even have any plans of asking about, talking about the fact that that guy may have taught him how to blackmail. Do you remember that name that was accidentally dropped? Do you remember the name or no?
I don't. I can go back and find
it. You'll find it. And then if you go a little bit lower, if Musk is this confident about starting his own political party, did he get deep enough in the government the first 100 days to find out for himself what happened with Epstein? Imagine if Musk got the intel. I just want to make that very clear. What if he has individuals in the inside of the FBI who saw everything and chose to resign to become a whistleblower to show what's in there? If there's an enemy of the administration today that's capable of that, it's Musk. It's not like FBI agents make a lot. They make 80 to 150 a year. I have a feeling Musk would find a way to offer financial protection if things got nasty. My concern is things could get very ugly in ways that I don't want to type it out. So here's the thing. Which one of the guys, the Cashes, the Pams, the Bonginos, the Habas, put all these names, which one of them, Vinny, do you think right now that knows all the dirt but is playing ball because they know who they're holding hostage, who they got a briefing of the real powerful people to say, here's why we're all going to take this position? Which one of those characters that is on the administration is conflicted the most right now? Let me ask the question one more time. Tom, Adam, who knows that they know what happened, whose names are on that list, okay? Who is certain what they did to kids? Who is certain the videos and all that stuff that's out there? Who is conflicted the most and is having a hard time keeping their mouth shut right now, deep down inside when they go to sleep?
Okay, great question, by the way. I think the most conflicted is going to be Dan Bongino. I don't think he knows everything. You know who knows everything?
Who?
Pam Bondi. She is the #1 law enforcement officer. She was in Florida, Pat, on the cleanup of this whole Epstein thing. She knows where the bodies are buried, so to speak. But I don't think she's conflicted because she's been involved the whole time. I think Dan Bongino, you know what I mean? They asked him, I don't know who offered him the job and came in. He's seen enough, Pat, where he's like, holy shit. He's a Secret Service agent. He loves America. He's a Christian. I think he is having the most... I could see it in his face. When you see Dan Bongino in the interviews now, he looks as if somebody has taken something from him. Like a part of his soul is gone. Like I think they pulled open the current and saw it and they said, shh, you can't say anything. I think it's him the most conflicted. I don't think it's Cash. I think Cash is good in front of the camera and likes to talk a big game. I think Pam knows everything. I think Dan Bongino has seen enough to make him go, holy shit, but he's gotten the kibosh. And that's where it conflicts with me, Pat, because my thing, and you know me, as a Christian, I'm sorry. I will go down with put me in jail, kill me. I don't care. You have to say the truth. The truth has to come out. It has to. And I'll let them answer, Pat, because I want to ask you a question after, too.
So I see it differently in terms of person. Everything else you said, I agree. And I think when you bring up faith, I have faith in one thing. I have faith in the Lord God Almighty, and He's going to judge the people. And if Epstein was dirty, as the Lord said, if you cause one of these little ones to sin, it'd be better that you're bottom of the sea with a millstone around your neck. And no one understands that verse. They think, oh, it's better you die that way. No, you drown in the first 12 feet.
Yes.
What he's saying is it would be better that you're at the bottom of the sea, hidden where I cannot find you, where that the creator of all doesn't find you. Now, so I agree with you on the faith side. When I look at the human side here, I see a dramatic, we've spent time with Dan. We've spent time at UFC. He's been here. We've looked at him. And I'll tell you, I see a guy whose countenance has really changed. And so I think there's something there. But I also saw the interview with Cash on the Kennedy stuff. And he sat back on that couch and he looked around and he said, you're asking about a who. Remember this quote? It's not really a who, it's a what. And then we had those other documents that came out that implicated the CIA. And so he said, yeah, then there's more in there that is coming. And you could see like he wanted to say something in that. And I think that but remember, where he came from, the reason he was nominated is because he was already knee-deep in some of it. Now he's neck-deep in it and sees it. I think Cash is one there that has wanted to say some things. And I also think, our friend, a noble servant in the Secret Service, I think what's going on there with Dan Bongino is a tremendous difference in his countenance. But I also think that Andrew Tate makes an interesting point. Who are they protecting and what's being protected? Do we want the bloodlust of knowing everything out there? Or is there something bigger at play? Obviously, there's something bigger at play. But to your question, those are the people that I think are conflicted.
Rob, did you find a clip of what he says?
I do. I have it right here.
Go for it. Here's Judge Joe Brown.
Deal of what happened with Smith and Millargo when the FBI raided it some years ago. And this thing that clearly they had no standing to go against about him supposedly having classified confidential documents when, as we have discussed, the President of the United States under the Constitution as chief diplomat and commander-in-chief has been held to have absolutely unquestionable authority as to what he declares either confidential and secret or decides to declare is not such. So my sneaking suspicion is that a lot of what he refused to turn over to the archivist, which was unconstitutional in terms of what it was trying to put in place through statutory override of constitutional authority, which is wrong, is that there was wrongdoing that if he turned it over to the archivist was going to be turned over to the people who were recorded doing wrong and they would destroy it. So we had an obligation to the people.
So he's basically saying that when Trump took those documents and all that stuff out, and kept them in Mar-a-Lago or wherever, that a lot of that stuff had this type of stuff, the Epstein stuff, the Epstein information. And yeah, and Pat, just really fast, and we we didn't gloss over it, but that 1 minute, Pat, that 1 minute that they showed us this video that they've been promising us, where is that minute? Why isn't what else could we do? Why can't we say, okay, time out? Where is that 1 minute that you guys are trying to bullshit us? And it's in plain sight. So you want to show this to us like we're gonna go, oh, whoops, there's the minute. Let's talk. No.
It's so. But the part of it, Vinny, that's so weird to me is it's so sloppy.
It is.
It's so sloppy. Like you almost want people to stay skeptical. Like, by the way, this is the guy that when I was talking to Jeffrey Epstein's brother, he talked about a guy that played a role of a mentor. I never brought up this name. He brought up this name, Steve Hoffenberg. American businessman and a fraudster. He was the founder, CEO, president, and chairman of Tower Financial Corporations, a debt collection agency, which was later discovered to be a Ponzi scheme. In 1993, he's rescued the New York Post from bankruptcy and briefly owned the paper. Towers Financial collapsed in 1993 and 1995. Pleaded guilty to, what does it say? Bilking investors out of $475 million. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison plus a $1 million fine, restitution. But if you go a little bit lower to what things he had, there it is. In 87, he met Jeffrey Epstein, a British defense contractor, Douglas Leslie, who Hoffenberg claimed was an arms dealer. Leslie was Saudi Adnan's Khashoggi and Prince Bandir bin Sultan Al Saud architect in the $1 billion Al Yamar arms deal, Britain's biggest arms deal concluded. Hoffenberg set up Epstein up in offices in Villard's house. They unsuccessfully tried to take over Pan Am in a corporate raid with Tower Financial and raiding vessels. Their bid failed in part of the 1988 terrorist bombing of Pan Am Flight 103. When you see the link between, during this period, Hoffenberg and Epstein worked closely together and traveled everywhere on Hoffenberg's private jet. He began using the Tower's financial funds to pay earlier investors. And then in the court documents, Hoffenberg claimed that Epstein was intimately involved in the Ponzi scheme. Epstein left Tower's financial collapse. And then Hoffenberg and some of his victims sued Epstein, seeking restitution. And in July 2019, following Epstein's arrest on the charge of sex trafficking minors and conspiracy to commit sex trafficking, Hoffenberg claimed that Epstein was his uncharged co-conspirator in the Ponzi scheme. So they're saying maybe he taught him some of these things. And this is coming from a brother when this name came up, out of nowhere. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. I think it's the most sloppiest launch of a news that a big percentage of MAGA voters, Trump voters, wanted to find out. These are people that are Christians. These are people that are family people. These are people that probably have kids, nephews, nieces, who wanted to know what the hell happened here. This is by far the biggest fumble of this administration thus far. Adam.
Well, you asked the original question, like who should be, how did you phrase it? Who should be most worried?
Conflicted.
Who's the most conflicted? So you have Pam Bondi, you have Dan Bongino that you mentioned, you have Kash Patel. I think it's Kash, because I never even heard of Kash Patel until I heard him basically say, when I get in there, day one, FBI, I'm coming in, I'm cleaning house, everybody's going to know what's going down. And just add the Epstein to all the laundry list of conspiracies that we still don't know about. RFK, MLK, JFK, Roswell, aliens, 9/11. I don't know. Epstein's just now another thing on that list. In my opinion, here's what happens. You show up, you get to the government, you say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and they Wizard of Oz your ass. And they go, yeah, tough guy? Yeah, you're real tough. How about this? Take a look at this. Is this what you want to expose? You want to bring down America? You want to bring down all these people? You want everyone to see what's going on with Wizard of Oz? Shut your stupid mouth. And the guy goes, oh, damn. Oh, damn. And at some point, you're going to have to make the decision whether you want to do what Andrew Tate said. We're talking about, do you want to appease the elites and the people that are really actually running the country, or appease the angry mob? And the angry mob has a point, and so do the elites. And it's clear at this point who they're appeasing. Who is it? They're appeasing the elites.
Yeah, because they know that the mob, us, we can't do anything. But Adam, I'm telling you as a Christian, how do you think God feels about this situation? How do you think God feels where people are like, well, we don't want to piss off the rich pedophiles. So guess what? The average American, the average person can't find out. And I have a question. And you know the old saying, Adam, and I said it before, let justice be done though the heavens fall. No matter what, justice has to be held up, no matter the consequences. Number one. Number two, here's my question, Pat. I want to ask you guys. What's worse? That allegedly Mossad used Epstein to run a blackmail ring with underage girls, number one, or that the world's most powerful men eagerly joined, while now the DOJ lies through its teeth and buries the evidence. Which one's worse? What is worse? The actual Mossad, secret Israeli intelligence setting them up to do it, or the guys doing it, the actual pedophiles, and now that the DOJ helps them cover it up? What do you think is worse? And Umberto asked ChatGPT, it was so random. I asked him yesterday, you know what ChatGPT, I'm sorry, what Grok said about this question? Both elements are profoundly immoral, but the eager participation of powerful men and the DOJ's cover-up is worse. It betrays public trust, enables systemic abuse, and perpetuates injustice. Allegations of intelligence involvement remain unproven per FBI findings, but I beg to differ.
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand the point, and I understand what he's saying. My question is, once a person gets in a job like this, if you have people that are conflicted, they're going to have a hard time. Are they going to come out and release? And even go a step further. Let's go to the next step here, okay? Who was the most powerful person in Trump's administration? Who was?
The last one?
The first
This
one?
one. This one.
This one?
Who helped the most with this election?
Elon.
What, Elon
Perfect.
Musk, probably?
Are they on good terms?
No.
I would.
Was he
not
happy
say.
with the big beautiful bill?
Absolutely
No. Trump says it's because the EV stuff isn't in it, and Musk says it has nothing to do with that. It's purely about spending money. And so Musk tweets out about Epstein, okay? And he says, well, here's something for you, the fact that Trump's on the Epstein list, okay? So now, Rob, go to that one, what he just posted yesterday. What's the time? Oh, look, it's no one has been arrested o'clock again.
It's kind of funny.
The Jeffrey Epstein pedophile arrest counter, okay? 0. Who is he calling out? Trump. Is he going to keep pressing on this? Yes. Who are the people that he's going to gain? Is he going to gain highly influential people, or is he going to gain the mob by playing to this? The mob.
The mob. Yeah.
He's not winning the influential people. He's going to win the mob. The mob is going to be running towards him,
Yeah,
right?
and not the mob like the Sammy the Bull mob. I'm talking
No,
angry.
I'm talking about angry people.
Angry
mob, yeah.
brokies, as
so now watch
Andrew
this
Tate
here.
calls
So
them.
disclose. This is when the U.S. DJ found nothing. They put the whole letters, and I look at Musk in the bottom. So then what is Ghislaine Maxwell in prison for?
Exactly.
Stuff like this doesn't improve faith in the government. I agree. That's one of the first thing I thought about. Why is Maxwell in prison for 20 years? By the way, she's in prison for what? And I know it's for
Can we find out what she's actually?
She's got five different. She's got 5 different counts on why she's in prison for. Yeah, you can type it in.
Trafficking, conspiracy trafficking.
But I'm
Who did
going
she
somewhere with
traffic?
this. Yeah. Okay, she's in prison right now for 5 different things. Let's wait for this, Rob, since Adam is asking. Sex trafficking of minor.
Yeah.
Transporting a
And number
minor with
3,
intent to
conspiracy.
engage in criminal section. 3 counts of conspiracy to commit sex trafficking related felonies. 20 years, $750,000 fine. Okay, so how much does this help Musk's desire to want to start a third party?
Big time.
So you just pissed him off with the BBB. If no promises were made, fine. Trump comes out and tweets out the following about Musk, because Musk ran 2 polls. One poll he ran about needing a third party. Rob, I don't know if you have the first poll. He says independence, not this one, Rob. There was another one. He runs the first poll about a third party. 80.4% people vote that they want a third party, okay? That's for the 80% of Americans. That's funny. He says about the 80% of Americans, and exactly 80.4% of Americans voted. That's it right there. Is it time to create a new political party in America that actually represents the 80% in the middle? Exactly 80% of people voted and said yes, okay? So then he puts the other poll. Independence Day is the perfect time to ask if you want independence from the 2-party system. Should we create America Party? Yes, 65.4%. Then he comes out and says, to do this, he comments on the bottom, one way to execute on this is to be laser focused to just 2 to 3 Senate seats and 8 to 10 House districts. Given the razor-thin legislative margins, that would be enough to serve as the deciding vote on contentious laws, ensuring that they serve the true will of the people. Trump responds in his own Truth Social of what to say about this. And his response to Musk is, it's very long, and Musk responds to this as well. He says, I'm saddened to watch Musk go completely off the rails, essentially becoming a train wreck over the past 5 weeks. He even wants to start a third party, despite the fact that there's never succeeded in the United States. The system seems not designed for them. The one thing third parties are good for is the creation of complete and total disruption and chaos. And we have enough of that with our radical left Democrats who have lost their confidence in their minds. Republicans, on the other hand, are a smooth running machine that just passed the biggest bill of its kind in the history of our country. It is a great bill, but unfortunately for Elon, it eliminates ridiculous EV mandate, which would have forced everyone to buy an electric car in a short period of time. I have been strongly opposed to that from the very beginning. People are now allowed to buy whatever they want, gasoline-powered hybrids or new technologies, no more EV mandate. I've campaigned on this for 2 years, and quite honestly, even Elon gave me his total and unquestioned endorsement. I asked him whether or not he knew that I was going to terminate the EV mandate. It was in every speech I made and in every conversation I had. He said he has no problem with it, and I was very surprised. Additionally, Elon asked one of his close friends to run the NASA. While I thought his friend was very good, I was surprised to learn that he had been a blue-blooded Democrat who had never contributed to a Republican Party. Elon probably was also. I also thought it's inappropriate that a very close friend of Elon, who was in the space business, to run NASA when NASA is such a big part of Elon's corporate life. My number one change, Rob, I can't read the bottom. Camera's hiding it. My number one charge, can you read it, is to protect the American public. I think that's what it says.
Yep.
Okay. So that's what he puts. Elon responds back. I don't know if you guys saw Elon's response to that. He says, oh, you should see what he says. He says, no, not that one. No, it's Truth Social. Never heard of it. No, he says, oh, okay. I'm good you feel like that, though. Too long of a message. I'm glad you shared how you feel. Sarcastically towards it. All right. So now about third parties. What's funny is, do you know who's the last third party that was started that became a president? Do you know who's the last third party candidate that became president?
No.
Teddy
You ready?
Roosevelt?
You were ready?
Never happened.
1860. A new party was started.
Oh,
the
Lincoln.
Republican Party. And Lincoln became president.
Oh, wow.
So the last third party that was started that actually was succeeded is Lincoln, who became one of the best presidents of all time.
Before that was like Democrats and Whigs, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question becomes, is this going to create enough of a division to get some of the people from the MAGA side, Trump side, to want to run towards him, and some people from the left who don't have a place right now to say, I'm going to go join Musk. I mean, Mark Cuban comes out of nowhere, and he says he'd be interested in the American Party. Scaramucci comes out of nowhere, saying I would be interested in the third party. Andrew Yang came out. Mark Cuban says, I work with voter choice. This will help you get on ballots. This is their mission. So there's the people who cannot stand Trump now are coming towards Musk. Tom, your thoughts, third party, and the whole falling out of how Epstein was managed. Do you think that's going to influence Musk to go even further with America Party?
Well, Musk has a chip on his shoulder because there's two sides to Tesla, and I connected with a couple of people last night, was talking about it, and they agreed with my take. And my take is everybody's looking at the cars. It's not the cars. 60%, 60, ladies and gentlemen, of the high voltage chargers in America are owned and operated by Tesla under contracts with literally every other EV maker. So when you take away the EV mandate, you're not just, causing issues with Tesla, the car company, you're causing issues with Tesla, the gas station, the electric gas station. And so there's a lot of that in that, and he's real upset about it. And there was an altercation with Scott Bessent. Something happened. Did Scott Bessent get under his skin or get into his right eye? Or maybe a little of both. Or did somebody charge somebody else? I don't know. But clearly, you have a very angry Elon. So now he's angry. Now, to answer your question directly, Pat, he realized how he could influence an election because he just did. He went out there with his money and his support and everything that went with it. Was it good that RFK walked on stage in Phoenix? Yes, it was. Was that helpful? Yes, it was. Was RFK trying to pull himself off the ballots, but the Democrats wouldn't let him, remember? No, you got to stay put. You got to keep doing this. Yeah, there was that shenanigans going on. But Elon Musk learned through the election that he could influence it. And so now he's upset. He's pissed off for many reasons. His buddy, I think, is the reason Trump talked about that. I think his buddy not being on NASA really upset him, and the EV mandate has upset him. So if you're Elon Musk, it doesn't have to be rational, Pat, right? It's just, wait a minute. Did I help just you guys get elected? And now I know we talked about the EV mandate, but this really screws with Tesla on both sides. The service station, the electric service station side, and my cars. And now you won't even let me. I just helped you guys. I just helped you get a couple guys home that Boeing couldn't. And so now you're not even going to help me maybe with one of my guys? Isn't this the way it works? The life insurance industry and all these different industries have their desires in Washington, and they talk to their senators and said, this could help, that could help. Now I talk to you, and I don't get it. And now what's going on here, he's tapping into to America's feelings about fairness. And he's connecting with that. And he's got people that are coming up like Mark Cuban, who is a dissatisfied guy, far more left, but a dissatisfied guy. And so now we have this. It's not as simple, and I went back and looked at this. It's not as simple as what happened in Connecticut. In Connecticut, they got upset. They got really upset with their senator, and so they said, we're going to primary you, and they did. And what happened? Boom. They got their guy on the ballot, and he was primaried out. And then what he did? I'll run as an independent, and the rest of Connecticut came back and said, well, now that we can all vote, not just the Democrats, we voted for a guy, and suddenly we have an independent senator. So away we go. So you can see cases where it's happened, and he's right about one thing. Strategically, I think he needs more than that. I think you need 4 senators and about 10 seats. But he's not wrong in the point. We're only talking about the math here because I went back and looked at his math. But 4 and 10 with the current fractured Congress and Senate, you could control a hell of a lot. You could influence a hell of a lot because you could be the deciding vote and said, nope, you got to go back. Pork, remember what we found out was in the Inflation Reduction Act? Yeah. Money for Ukraine. Yeah. How does that? Well, guess what? It's in every bill. So now these people in the America Party could go in and say, hey, I need this and I need this. And now you've got our votes and you're over the top. But I need this.
There's one thing. So you got Andrew Yang that started a party, right, called the Forward Party. Yeah. And this is the whole UBI thing, right? Universal Basic Income when he had some momentum. Yep. But nothing's happened with the Forward Party. Andrew Yang doesn't have the kind of weight that Musk has. The closest thing that comparison you can make to starting a third party is Ross Perot. Ross Perot spent $60 million in 1992 running for office to become president, and he got all the way up to 18.7, 19% when he ran in 92, but he ran as an independent in 92. Then 2 years later, he starts a new political party called the Reform Party, and he spends $10 or $50 million to start a Reform Party, and he runs again in 96, but in 96, with a new political party, Reform Party, he only gets 8.4%. Now, to compare Ross to Musk, Ross was worth $3 billion at the time. What's $3 billion, Tom, in 92 in today's money? $3 billion in 92 in today's money, say at the low end, $6 billion, at the high end, $20 billion. Is that fair to say?
I think it's probably around 8. Can we do the calculation?
I want to say 10.
Okay. So let's just say, $3 billion in 92 would be $6.7 million today. No problem. Okay. All right. So let's just say he's worth $7 billion. Musk today is worth what? What is Musk worth today?
600.
He's worth $300 billion, $400 billion, some number like that. Remember, Tesla lost $80 billion of valuation yesterday. So what's his net worth today? Musk is going to be roughly $346 billion net worth. Okay, he lost $15 billion yesterday. Devastated financially, right? Obviously, he's not. He's got $350 billion.
He's doing okay.
So he's got about 100 times more money than Ross Perot had. Now, what did Ross Perot have that Elon doesn't have? What's the one thing Ross Perot had when he started a political party that Musk doesn't have? One thing. You know what it is? Ross Perot is an actual natural born citizen, which means later on the Reform Party, you know what happened? When's the last time you heard about the Reform Party? Nothing. Never. Pat Buchanan, there was a fight, I can't believe this, I can't believe that, and it completely disappeared. So, say Musk starts a political party. Then he needs a face. The person to be the face to run to become a president for him, he has to assume that person's going to listen to 100% of what Musk tells him to do. Yeah. Who's going to be that person? Think about what I just said, okay? He has to assume, Tom, that whoever he gets has to listen to 100% of what he says. Who's that going to be? Vivek? I don't think so. Vivek has got a strong personality. Is he going to go after J.D. Vance because some say that's his candidate through Peter Thiel? Who's he going to go get? So you go start a political party.
Who's going to be the main guy?
Who's going to be your guy?
I don't think it's Vivek. I don't think he's strong enough.
Again, the challenge, no matter who it is, though, what bothers Elon is that you have to do 100% of what Elon believes. Mm-hmm. Or else what's the point of him starting a political party?
Yeah, you're right.
Think about what I'm saying to you right now. Is he going to be able to control 100% of any individual that runs? So here's what happens. They get into the office. What's the first thing people are going to say? hey, man, I just want to make sure you're not owned by Elon. Are you? Are you your own man? I'm my own man.
I've been saying this since such and such.
Really?
Yeah.
So now what's Elon going to do? Attack him again?
Yeah, exactly.
But it doesn't matter. You can attack again. He's in. He doesn't have to listen to you anymore.
Yeah.
So then in his mind, he's going to be like, well, then maybe I need to get into the blackmail business.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Record him doing something
Maybe I need
crazy.
to get into the blackmail business that I really can have 100% control of you.
There you go. That's how it works.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So
100%.
eventually, the only way you can get a candidate to do 100% of what you tell them to do is you got to have some blackmail on them.
Damn right. That's
So
how it
that is
works.
because you're not born here.
Yeah.
So how much money do you think Elon would be willing to spend to change the laws for him to be able to run for office?
$1 billion.
How much money do you think he would spend? Because that's the only thing that's in his way.
Yeah,
I think it'd be $1 billion.
hopefully the answer is zero, because if you're not born in America, I don't think you should be able to be president.
But
No,
no,
but
that's
he's
not the
starting
question,
a
though.
party. He's
I'm
starting a
asking
party.
you, how much money do you think he would be willing to spend to pass a law where somebody like him can run? Because then and only then would he be able to control exactly what policies would get passed if he was in.
Well,
what type of money?
If he had the ability to run as president,
Yes.
I think he would spend all his money.
I agree. Not all his money. I think he'd spend $50 billion. I think he'd spend $50 billion.
I thought you were talking about who to put for another
I agree.
candidate for himself.
Remember, we're talking about congressional.
For him to run. That's
50 would be because I'm thinking about he just lost 80 just on a stock for
Tesla
him to
lost
run
80.
the
He
show.
lost
Yeah,
50,
Tesla.
yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
and I think he owns what, 15% of Tesla,
15,
whatever the number is.
16%, yeah.
So the thing that I keep going back to is something that you basically told us at the beginning of the year: the concept of signal versus noise. So Kevin O'Leary actually just came out. It was a great story he told about Steve Jobs. I guess he worked for Steve Jobs, and he talked about how Steve Jobs, who he called an asshole, by the way, had this unique ability to stay focused on the signal and tune out the noise. And he basically edifies Elon. He goes, Elon Musk does it better than anybody. The way that he has the ability to just tune out all the noise and focus 100% on signal. So my counter argument to me with that is him forming this third party, this A New America party. Is this signal or is this noise? To me, it's kind of a lot of noise. Because if you look at his, how much money did they lose in Tesla just now? $80 billion?
Yes.
All right, let's see how much they lose today. There's a lot of people who are part of his companies that are like, dude, enough.
Did you hear what
with
Scott
this
Besson
politics
said?
stuff.
Rob,
What he said.
play what Scott Besson said. Watch
See if
this.
you have that.
Yeah,
OG
Scott Besson said, they asked him about Musk starting a third political party.
Okay.
Watch what he said here.
It's not a big secret that you had your differences with Elon Musk when he was working in the administration. He announced this weekend that he is starting a new political party. Does that worry the Trump administration?
Look, the principles of Doge were very popular. I think if you looked at the polling, Elon was not. So I believe that the boards of directors at his various companies wanted him to come back and run those companies, which he is better at than anyone. So I imagine that those board of directors did not like this announcement yesterday and will be encouraging him to focus on his business activities, not his political activities.
Yeah, I fully agree. I fully
And by
agree
the way,
with this.
I think Scott Besson already knows the answer to that question.
Yeah. Think about it. If you're Elon Musk,
Board members and everything connected in the legislative world,
Yeah.
excuse me, the compliance world that is Wall Street.
He
You don't
was-
think Besson has heard whispers from some of the people that are on those boards?
Of course.
Sure.
Tesla,
Especially the
SpaceX,
Tesla board and the
course.
compensation committee that said no?
Neuralink, Boring Company, Starlink, Twitter, XAI, all these companies need to be run. And now he's completely focusing on the noise that is this third party. But I guess it all depends on the objective. If you want to sort of just shape the narrative or shape policy, there's a possibility to do that with a third party. But your chances get lower and lower and lower the bigger you dream. So if you want to have seats in local or state Congress, all right, great, we can make that happen. If you want to even get on the stage of the presidential debates, all right, Ross Perot did it. I don't know. But to win electoral votes, 0% chance. Nobody's ever won an electoral vote since basically the Civil War. To win the presidency, 0% chance. So it seems like a pipe dream to me, but if you want to affect change locally, all right, let's see what happens with that.
Elon needs to read the book that one of my friends, you know him, Patrick Bet-David wrote. It's called Choose Your Enemies Wisely. This is the worst enemy to pick is Donald Trump. This is the worst enemy to pick. The whole all this nonsense. It's like, bro, you allegedly got punched in the face by freaking Scott Besson. Just move on.
He said it was his son. He said it was his 4-year-old son.
Well, listen, but here's the thing: the Trump is not the guy to go to war with in this arena. I'm sorry. Republicans alone he has, then the MAGA. It's like, bro, it's not going to work. It's again, you nailed it. It's all noise. It's all noise, but you think Trump is really focusing? Like, Trump is going
PBD,
that
how
way.
committed do you think Elon is to this? Meaning, does he have the stomach to go through this and through this and through this at the expense of his board, his shareholders, his stock prices plummeting? At what point does he just bail?
Nobody can
pull the
control
ripcord?
this guy. He has it. He has the stomach to go do it. But his businesses may take a hit. And he may find a different strategy to go about it. Right now, you have to realize, this is a guy that to have the level of drive that he has, that drive doesn't come just because you want to be somebody. That drive doesn't come just because you want to have money. That drive doesn't come because he wants a nice car and impress the girls. The guy's been with, enough girls to where he can put that list together and impress anybody else's list of girls that they've been with, right? This is about who offended him at what level. The guy's been offended at the highest level by the most powerful man in the world, Trump, and that level of being publicly humiliated and offended, he's not going to let go. He's not. So what?
So you're saying he's being emotional?
No, no. That's his fuel. The people run on different kind of octane fuel. Some cars can't run on the same high octane fuel as other cars run on. You put it in there, it's just not going to work.
Some cars are EVs.
Yeah, but
sometimes you need EV mandate.
This guy's a high octane offensive. You offend him, he ain't forgetting about. Think about like Michael Jordan was known as the ultimate grudge guy. Mm-hmm. He held grudges at the highest level. This guy's on top of that because Jordan only held grudges in what sport?
Basketball.
This guy holds a grudge in everything.
Sure.
In every single thing. It is not going away anytime soon. It's not going away anytime soon. And I have a feeling that one tweet, do you guys remember when he said, you guys have to realize, you have only Trump for 4 more years. You got me for 40 more years.
Yep.
He ain't lying. He revealed so much in that 1 hour of all the tweets. You learned so much about every one of his motives in all of those tweets that he put up. Do you remember which one I'm talking about when he said Trump's only 40? You only have Trump for 4 years.
No, he deleted the tweet, so my memory's erased.
Exist.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't exist anymore.
So if you're asking a question, I think this guy is just getting started. And if he wants to start a political party, the only thing, and I guarantee you, this is the one right there, Rob. You have it. This is when he says, if you can find this, Rob.
Yeah, I'm looking for an actual photo of the tweet.
Yeah.
The tweet's gone.
What does it say? The images should be, oh, there it is. Is that the one?
No.
No, that's not the one.
Oh, here it is, right here.
Save that, Rob.
Says, and for some food for thought, as they pondered this question, Trump has 3.5 years left as a president. I will be around for 40 years. Ugh. This may be the most powerful tweet he's ever tweeted that nobody paid attention to. Look at that. No one paid attention. That's nothing. 16,000 likes, 2.6 million views. That is nothing. Nobody saw this. This is exactly what you're going to hear about for decades to come. Oh, yeah. You will see. That tweet will be shown for a very long time to come. Rob, save that tweet because that ain't going away anytime soon. This guy's got a chip at the highest level, and he's going to be coming, and he's going to be recruiting, and he's going to be very aggressively recruiting. But he's going to have a wall he's going to hit. Tom, he's going to have a wall he's going to hit. You know what that wall is? He can't be Ross Perot.
Nope.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And by the way, it's not as simple as just passing a law. He has to get, Congress and the Senate pass it, and then he's got to go through
each state,
2/3 of the U.S. states.
Yep. Complicated.
Very complicated.
Some states, Virginia, very complicated. Each signature in Virginia, it costs you $40,000 to $100,000. It's a lot of work. But if there is a guy that could pull it off, Tom, it's this guy. If there's a guy that could pull it off, it's this guy. Now, while that's going on, Netanyahu comes to D.C. to visit. Text Vinny first, but he comes to D.C. to pay a visit to the president. Netanyahu heads to D.C. for the deal of the century. Rob, is this the video that you got? Let me read this first to know what the context of this visit was. Vinny, do you know why he was in town? Do you know what the purpose of the visit was?
I don't. I honestly
Prime
don't
Minister
know.
Netanyahu is heading to Washington, not just for a ceasefire deal with Hamas, but for a much bigger deal of the century, so to speak. According to Dan Diker, great last name, president of the Jerusalem Center for Security and Foreign Affairs, he told ILTV News that this is a momentum play by both Netanyahu and the U.S. President Trump. He said that Netanyahu has insisted on several red lines in Gaza over the last more than 20 months, and one has been the elimination of Hamas as military and political power in Gaza. So he said if Netanyahu has really agreed to end the war, then Israel should expect to see the deportation of Hamas leaders from the Strip. Rob, if you can play the clip when they're together.
So I have 4 clips. Which one would you like? Bibi Netanyahu nominates Donald Trump for
Start with that
Nobel
one.
Peace Prize right here.
So watch this one here. Go for it.
The president has already realized great opportunities. He forged the Iran Accords. He's forging peace as we speak, in one country and one region after the other. So I want to present to you, Mr. President, the letter I sent to the Nobel Prize Committee. It's nominating you for the Peace Prize, which is well deserved, and you should get it.
Thank you very much. This I didn't know. Wow. Thank you very much.
Exit Rubio.
Coming from you in particular, this is very
Radcliffe
meaningful.
CIA.
Thank you very much, baby.
Thank you. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
So that's that. Nobel Peace Prize. Okay. That would be the day he gets Nobel Peace Prize. You know how much people are going to lose their mind on the left? They're going to go crazy.
The same way they lost their mind on the right when Obama got a Peace Prize because he did a speech at the Berlin Wall.
Yeah. Vinny,
No, well, I mean, okay, listen. I think Donald Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize for the last administration. No wars, zero. What, Soleimani, he killed one person, but like, this is he just helped bomb another country, and he's offering him a peace prize. That's like giving Jeffrey Dahmer a Michelin star for his unique taste in meat. It's the wrong time. It should have happened 4 years ago. And I'm not saying, it's not like they killed a bunch of people, but you just technically went to war. How are you going to give him a peace prize? It doesn't make any sense to me. So, like I said, he deserves it for the last 4 years. He doesn't deserve it for right now.
Press play on the next ones. Let's see what we got here.
Do you think that there can be a two-state solution that creates an independent?
I don't know. I'd ask Bibi that question. You have the greatest man in the world to answer that age-old question, two-state. Go ahead. You give him your honest answer.
I think Palestinians should have all the powers to govern themselves, but none of the powers should threaten us. And that means that certain powers, like overall security, will always remain in our hands. Now, that is a fact. And no one in Israel will agree to anything else because we don't commit suicide. We want life, we cherish life for ourselves, for our neighbors. And I think we can work out a peace between us and the entire Middle East with President Trump's leadership. And by working together, I think we can establish a very, very broad peace.
Adam, thoughts?
So the whole question in the Middle East is, who do you trust the most? So this might upset some of you guys. I would argue that whether it's Trump or any American president, you trust Israel more than any other name on that list in the Middle East. Who do you trust them? Who do you trust more than Israel in the Middle East? It's not 0 or 100. So maybe you trust Saudi, 30%. You trust Iran, 1%. You trust Qatar, 20%. Whatever the number is, here's what I guarantee you. The trust of Israel is over 50%. Is there any other country in the Middle East you would even put above 50%? What other country in the Middle East would you proclaim is our ally? I'll wait while you try to throw out names. I don't think it exists. You trust them to the point where you get what you pay for. Qatar, all right, we have a base there. Saudi, we have a relationship there. We're selling them arms. I don't know who did 9/11. Iran, we just had a war with them. So with Israel, it's not 0 or 100% trust. I know there's a lot of people that are like, we hate Israel. They're our enemies. We'll never work with them. Well, that's not what the government's doing. There's other people like Israel and the United States are completely allied and there's zero daylight between them. Well, I don't think that's the case either. They are what is known as strategic allies. Now, you talked about whether Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize. There's 2 parts to that. There's something called peace through strength. I think, and if you look at what Israel has done in conjunction with the United States, they've basically looked at, I would call it warmongering psychopaths jihadists and said, we're going to have to take care of these people before they take care of us. So they went after Hamas, the Houthis, still dealing with that, Hezbollah, Syria, Islamic Jihad, tip of the spear with Iran. And I think that Trump will be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize when the dust settles in the Middle East. So we'll see what happens with that.
Tom.
Well, I think there's a bit of...
It's actually a good question. Who do you trust more in the Middle East? Out of all the countries in the Middle East, who do you trust the most?
Well, there's a couple of ways to look at trust. It's not necessarily, you know, you can...
Would you put any country above Israel? Or
no,
even close?
no, I don't. What I'm saying is
Okay.
trusting outcomes. You know, when you look at sports, I trust certain players to do certain things. Whether I like those teams or I'm not a fan of those teams or I'm not a fan of the player, I trust that they're going to behave a certain way. And Israel, I can trust them to do what I think they're going to do. I don't always agree with everything, but I can trust them to do what they're going to do. Because everybody else, there is a complicated labyrinth under there that they have a foundational desire to dispose of Israel. So do I trust them to be them? Yeah. And that makes me not trust them long term. And so I trust Israel to be Israel, and I trust Israel to do things in a certain way and to behave a certain way. And I don't think there's anybody else in the Middle East that I trust more than that.
Vinny, who do you trust more than Israel?
I mean, I you know me, I don't trust anybody over there. But if I had to pick militarily and strategic and fighting and war and stuff like that, yeah, it'd be Israel. We're not teaming up with anybody else to fight anybody. But morally and some of the things that they're probably doing, if Epstein, you know, going back to Mossad and all the stuff and, you know, AIPAC and our congressmen and stuff like that, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't put like Jordan, UAE, Saudi Arabia. What do you think?
No, Vinny, I'm asking you. Who in the Middle East? You were in the military.
I don't trust anybody, but who would I trust the most?
No. Like in the Middle East, can you pull up the Middle East map? It's a good question. Pull up the Middle East map. Who in the Middle East do you trust more than Israel? Rob, nobody can see the words on that one.
I was just going to say, I'm not stalling. I can't see.
The worst map ever.
Who do you trust more in the Middle East
Rob,
than
just
Israel?
hit maps. Like instead of images, like images, maps.
That's what I did, and it gave me the other one.
So hit images.
You're so funny. You are so funny.
There you go.
Here we go. Vinny, who do you trust
Vinny,
more?
I don't know if you can locate Israel. They're the tiny little
bad.
area
Jordan,
right
is Jordan
there.
bad? Jordan has a peace treaty with Israel.
The fact that you don't even know anything about Jordan already gives you the answer.
Michael.
Yeah, Michael Jordan.
He's
okay.
The guy
dunking on people in the Middle
he
East.
won
There you go.
championships.
But think about it.
Yeah.
But think about it for a second.
American
which of
neutralized
these
Jordan, and
guys?
Jordan is
Which of these guys would be the biggest allies of?
Well, obviously, Israel because of the military alliance that they have with us.
The
Obviously.
answer is none. You
No,
don't
I'm saying-
trust any of these mother effers.
Well, Adam, I told you from the beginning, I don't trust anybody. I don't trust
Trump
anybody.
doesn't trust his own cabinet.
No,
100%.
that's
Exactly.
not how it works, though.
So
not how
it's
it
not
works.
100 or 0.
Because, no, that's not how it works.
It's
and
on
by
a
the way,
scale. It's on a
you could
spectrum.
say you don't trust Israel. Just say it. But what you can't say is when you're in a room of 19, let's just say, criminals, okay, you still have to have one person you trust above the 19 criminals.
Yeah.
You have to have somebody that you're going to go and say, I'm going to trust that guy more.
Yep.
This isn't a, because, again, this is part of the problem of what's going on with the Middle East, because the interview takes place. The interview with Tucker Carlson and the president of Iran, Rob. Tucker announces that he's going to be doing the interview, which a lot of people ask me the question, what do you think about the fact that he's doing the interview? I love it. I love the fact that he's doing the interview. The more I get a chance to hear what the president of any country has to say. But you don't understand. Do you realize he's giving eyeballs to this? I got a lot of shit when I interviewed the founder of a Islamic Revolutionary Guard. And they're like, I cannot believe you're doing this. No, I learned a lot about what that guy did. So I applaud Tucker for doing the interview. Now, having said that, in the intro, Rob, is this the intro or is this the...
I can grab the intro. Hang on.
Which clip is that, Rob? The one
That is where they talk about Death to America being chanted.
Okay, so here's a question that was asked about Death to America. You as an audience, folks, run a poll. The poll is, once this is done, do you believe the president Iran's explanation of what death to America really means. It doesn't really mean what you think it means, right? It doesn't. It has a complete different meaning when they say death to America. It's more poetic. It's more loving. It's endearing.
Yeah.
It's coming from a place of gamesmanship. We're just kind of flirting with each other. You know how you talk dirty and you say, babe, I'm going to do this to you tonight.
Yep.
You're not really going to go destroy her. You're just going to have some fun. So the way Iranians talk dirty to Americans, like, listen, man, death upon America, that's the way they do it. You know what I'm saying?
It's the good
It's
kind of
coming
death.
from a very nice, dirty, way of speaking. Rob, do you want to just go to the question and let him light it up? Is this the whole thing?
Yep.
Go for it. Again, just
Iran.
talk dirty
You
to
say you're not
Americans,
afraid, but
like,
Americans are
listen,
afraid.
man. Go back a little bit. I hear myself in the background. I hear my
Sorry,
own
we have
audio.
a poll running in the back. Hang on one second.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Got it. If you can close the poll, there you're going to go back to it. So I'd watch this one here, folks.
It's a term of endearment.
Yeah, it's a term of endearment. Watch this, folks.
Many Americans are afraid of Iran. You say you're not afraid, but Americans are afraid of Iran. And they believe that Iran would like to strike the United States with a nuclear weapon. They see video of Iranians saying death to America, describing our country as the great Satan. What is your opinion of that? Should we be afraid of Iran?
I believe that this is a very wrong impression that anybody might have of Iran or the Iranians. I would like to remind you that Iran has never invaded another country in the last 200 years. When they say death to the United States, it doesn't mean death to, they don't mean death to the people of the United States or even to the officials of the United States.
Right.
They mean death to crimes, death to killing and carnage, death to supporting killing others, death to insecurity and instability. This is. Have you ever heard that an Iranian killing an American? Have you ever heard that? Or a terrorist that was Iranian and he carried out a terrorist attack against the Americans? No, it was your president who confessed that the Americans created the ISIS in our region, and they were responsible for this wrong image that is portrayed of religion or the Muslims in the world. And once again, I would like to tell you and remind you that this is not death to the American people or to the officials. Death to crimes and atrocities, to bullying, to the use of force. And
I'm coming to you first.
Well, we've never invaded another country. I bet that little report surprised the hell out of the Iraqis that spent 10 years going back and forth. I think there was 5 million. I'm going to get this wrong, but there was this huge number of people. I thought it was 5 million on each side that died in the 10-year Iran-Iraq war, where Iran never set foot in Iraq, didn't do anything, wasn't invading. They were going back and forth with each other. This, I find it stunning. I find it absolutely stunning. There are only 1 million people?
500,000 on each side, yeah.
500,000 each side.
Still, but
that's
go
a lot
for it.
less,
I'm listening to
I
you.
thought. Boy, 10-year war? Boy, yeah, a little ineptitude there. So I think when I listen to this full list, what goes in my head is like, who are you kidding? The Iran-Iraq war. Who are you kidding? You've sponsored terrorism. Who are you kidding this? I have no idea what his audience is and who he thinks is really believing it, unless it's just...
The question is, does the audience of Americans believe it? What percentage of Americans just watch that and say, wow, he's right?
Well,
That's not what that means. Like, how many people did that right there, what he just said, work on? How many Americans did that work on?
I'll give you an answer there. 42%.
Look at that right there.
Are Democrats.
Our audience. Do you believe the Iranian president explanation?
80-20.
20% believe him.
Okay, so take 20%.
And that's our audience.
Okay, let's take...
Right, which means it's probably 30 to 40 that believe this.
Yeah, and a big chunk. I think a big chunk of the Democrats believe it. I think probably 33% of Democrats believe that because they want to believe that. See, We can be globalists and all get along. It's okay. They're not really doing this. This is subversive stuff because that is what 30% of the globalists, hard globalist Democrats want to believe.
Wow. Vinny.
What about? Oh, you think I believe him? I don't believe him at all. But I was on a deeper thing. I was seeing a lot of stuff on Tucker and how everybody was pissed off at him. But he started interviewing. Like think about it, he's interviewed Putin. Who else is Putin? This guy Orban,
Millet,
and it's almost as if I heard reports, and it was like people like him, and they named one other person. I'm trying to figure out who it was, that they think that they're getting money from, everybody always says, well, Israel's paying them and Israel's in their pocket. I've heard allegedly that these guys are starting to get money from the other side, from the Middle East. Like if you think, like Theo Von was one of them too. I saw reports where it was like Theo Von, who, guys, we all know, he's a comedian. He's hilarious. There's all the interviews. Once he went to Qatar, he was there when the president was there. He got back, and the moment he got back, all of a sudden it was, what's happening in Gaza is a genocide. And I'm saying go ahead.
Wait a minute. I want you to elaborate that a little bit more, because there was an ad network and there were things out there that it turns out people were getting ad dollars, and it was a big embarrassment to a lot of podcasts. Not this one.
Nope.
We didn't take it.
Nope.
Where they, what I'm talking about, Pat?
Yes,
where they all got surprised by the ad network
Russia's
that
and
came from some bad people.
Different.
Are you talking about that?
No,
And if
that was
not,
different.
what are you talking about now
I'm talking
specifically?
about, I saw a bunch of stuff on the internet, on X, a bunch of posts where the timing of people's attitudes changing about the Middle East. Like, for instance, by the way, Theo Von went to Qatar and went on stage and was making people laugh and everything. And mind you, I personally, I know Theo Von, and I never heard anything about Middle East diplomacy, anything, the war, anything. Once he got back from that trip, and then it was, he started being way more vocal against Israel. So I'm just saying that's the type of stuff that I was hearing. And so when it comes to like Tucker as well, I saw other people pointing out to the fact that he's starting to interview, not starting, but he's interviewing all these people and giving them a voice to try to prove their selves and make them look like they're not. Because, by the way, saying death to America, I don't give a damn who you are or how you spin it. Saying death to America is saying death to the country, death to all the people, and that you wish that place doesn't exist. That's what death to something means, meaning no life, no breath, nothing. It's death. So
Adam,
I don't believe
thoughts?
it.
Well, Vinny, welcome to reality, because Qatar has been paying everybody. I'm not saying that they're paying Tucker, but here, Rob, I'm going to send you a little thing of...
I'm saying, again, Adam, I don't know. I'm just saying I've been hearing a lot of it, and I'm a timing type of guy. When it happens like that, when all of a sudden you switch, it kind of makes me question.
Sure. Well, I think people have been yelling from the rooftops, watch out for the Qatari money, for quite some time, because a lot of people basically say, who's a bigger foe in the Middle East? Is it Iran, who's basically broke and has spent all their money on nuclear weapons or proxies, and we see the ROI that's having? Or is it Qatar, who's basically printing money with liquid gold and has been funding universities, NGOs, anti-American, anti-Israel? That's where Al Jazeera is based. None of this is new to anybody that's been following Qatar. Now, as far as Tucker goes, here's how this works. Is Tucker being funded by Qatar? Well, no one in their right mind would be like, yo, here's your money, buddy. No, you use an intermediary or a third party to act as the sort of bagman to collect the money. Because in America, there's something called the FARA, F-A-R-A, the Foreign Agent... find out what the FARA thing is. Foreign Agent...
registry? Something?
Registry and Associate, whatever it is.
One of Charlie's Angels, I thought.
There you go.
Foreign Agents Registration Act. God,
there you
go.
Close. So if you take money from a foreign entity, you have to register as that. But if you allegedly have a third party in between, there's a way of doing this. This is what Qatar is doing. I'm not breaking anybody news. Anybody who's been following Qatar knows that they've already done it in Europe. If you look at Europe, why is Europe such a dysfunction? Everyone I talk to, whether it's Germany, whether it's the UK or Paris, they say the following: oh, dude, Europe has fallen. Qatar has bought every official, every diplomat, every single person in Europe. And if you look at what's going on in Europe, that's what they're trying to do with America. And who's the easiest people to do in America? The left, the progressives. you ever see that interview with the one guy? I think he was interviewed by it starts with a D. He's been on our show. The Indian guy, he's very
Dinesh
conservative.
D'Souza?
Dinesh
Dinesh.
D'Souza. He goes, Dinesh, respect to you. He goes, why do hardcore Muslim extremists vote or give their money to the progressive leftists? He goes, oh, it's so easy to understand. They have no values. They have no principles. They'll take the money. They'll say whatever. A man's a woman. A woman's a man. You know, go, have abortions, energy. If you can find that clip. Agree. He goes, I don't give money. There's no Muslim conservatives in Congress, by the way. Zero. They're all on the left because they have no values. They have no principles is basically what he's saying. So to get back to this concept of Tucker, here's what I know for sure. If you want an easy softball interview and you're a thug like Putin, if you're a terrorist state like Iran, if you're funding terrorism around the world, go to Qatar, go down to Tucker and get your little softball interview. There'll be zero pushback. He's not going to refute any claims that you say. He's just going to sit there and do this stupid looking face. And then when you say something, and that's Tucker. I would 100% go on Tucker if I was a foreign autocrat and I wanted a zero pushback on that. Now, as far as believing the president of Iran, death to America? No, we don't want death to America. We want to give you a big hug and kill you with love. Does anybody believe that? Well, apparently 20% of our audience believes that.
Where's that poll at right now, Rob? I'm curious. Keep going, Adam. I just want to know.
Yeah, I mean, the one last thing I'll say is this. You want to have respect from me, Tucker? Go interview the people in Iran. Go interview the people that have been suffering from the Iranian regime for the last 46 years. Go interview those people and see what they have to say. Because I guarantee you're going to get a completely different response. Those people want to see the Iranian regime go and go immediately. But you're going to sit there with the president of Iran and take him at face value and then just smile. It's pathetic.
Here's where I'm going to be at, okay? To me, Tom, I think Iraq attacked Iran the moment Shah fell and they saw weakness, and that's where the opportunity came in with Saddam. I don't think Khomeini had a bone of military background in him to know how to have any kind of attacks being done. So they were exposed because he killed off a couple thousand of Shah's generals and colonels and leaders. So their military was dismantled, and Iraq saw that as an opportunity. But again, that's a war that happened. It cost a lot of innocent people's lives. But for them to say nothing, the amount of fatwas Khomeini put, didn't Khomeini put a fatwa on Salman Rushdie? They put so many fatwas. Even, Ruhollah Khamenei recently said death upon America. They talked about John Bolton. They talked about all these other guys. Stop with this nonsense bullshit that you're all innocent and it's not death upon America. When I was in Iran and we would learn how to write, it's so important. Iranians take writing very seriously, and they would teach you how to write like
it's like art.
Honestly, it was like I would have a hard time with it because it was like art the way you would write.
It's a hieroglyphic
and the way you would go. It was
amazing.
so beautiful.
Yep.
Iran gave us Hafiz. Iran gave us Rumi. Iran gave us some of the most incredible poets of all time. So what is poetry? Words. What do words have? A lot of power. You mean to tell me that you can say death upon America and you don't really mean what it means? Let me get this straight for you. You say something like that to an average guy who may take it. Do you know when we had the professor that came from Harvard that was doing a study about
the police brutality?
Was there really a bias on police
yeah.
attacks on blacks?
That's right, police attacks on blacks. And he came up with the report a couple times, and he went on Barry Weiss, if you remember, and then we brought him in here. Do you know what was the other research he was doing? Do you know what was the other research he was doing that he was going to be launching?
What?
The impact of hip-hop. You know how they say CIA was involved with hip-hop? The impact that hip-hop had on kids. You know what he said? He gave a glimpse of what his research was coming along with. He said hip-hop didn't have a negative influence in the ghetto. Hip-hop didn't have a negative influence in streets like, Baltimore or Compton or L.A. because they're living hip-hop. He said hip-hop had a negative influence in the suburbs of a bunch of white kids being raised who started listening to hip-hop, and the words of hip-hop got them to commit crimes, became criminals, act like they're gangsters. Why? Because words have power. What is the song by Tupac that say cost his life? What does it start off with? That's why you bitch, you fat mother. right?
Yeah.
And
Get money.
and he goes into it, right? You know, he calls out everybody in that thing.
Hit
right?
him up, right?
Hit him up, yeah. And if you tell DMX, you go to Bone Thugs and Harmony, more murder, come again, right? Easy-E, real mother. You go listen to all the lyrics here. These lyrics, and when you listen to these words, they do something to you. If you're telling me Mad About America doesn't have any meaning, then stop saying it.
Right.
Why don't you stop saying it? Why don't you stop saying those words? Why don't other countries say it? Because a 12-year-old kid is going to hear it, and they're going to be like, I'm so loyal to Khamenei, I'm so loyal to you, that I'm actually going to act upon these words of death upon America. I'm actually be willing to go commit suicide because I may have a place in heaven if I'm able to commit suicide and do it for my country, do it for my religion. What other religion goes out there and tells you to go commit suicide for your religion? Have we taught that, Tom? Christianity? Are we taught to go commit suicide on behalf of our God? What does our God say if we commit suicide?
Go into no. It says go into all the world and teach people about me, baptize them, and teach them to obey.
What does Christianity teach you about suicide?
Teach you about suicide? Well, the Catholics seem to believe that it's an unforgivable sin, but the Bible doesn't indicate that suicide is
there
some
anything
fatal sin.
in there, Tom? Is there anything in the Bible that encourages you to commit suicide? To
No,
show respect
there's
to
nothing,
Jesus.
especially nothing to
Do
kill
Catholics
yourself
believe
and to
in that?
off other people.
Do Catholics
No.
believe in that?
No.
Do Jews believe in that?
No.
Do Scientologists believe in that?
If you're
Do
talking about
Mormons
suicide
believe in
bombers,
that?
no.
Who believes in suicide bombers? Only one religion. Why is that? Why?
And by the way, none of the guys in charge
Yeah.
think it's a
Says
good
it
idea.
so-
By the way, none of the
Because
clerics
it
will
says
say,
it in
I'm
the
going to do it
Quran.
first, I'll
Yeah.
show you how. They
Well-
want everybody else to.
Well, the challenge here becomes you can fool a percentage of people that hear that. Like my follow-up would have been, Tucker would have had an opportunity to have so many additional follow-ups there to that one specific topic, similar to the way he pushed Ted Cruz. Because to me, that Ted Cruz interview was phenomenal. That Ted Cruz interview was incredible for both sides.
Yeah.
It was great for both sides. I thought that was one of the best interviews he's ever done. You know, that interview ended up getting the podcast to go all the way to the top. I think he was #1 for like a week or so. It was that good of an interview on Spotify. He crushed it with that interview. That's the pushback that we sometimes need with these guys to ask the follow-up. Really? That's what you say? What about that? He knows how to do it. He did it with Ted. He knows how to do it. He knows how to re-engage. He knows how to bring some of that stuff up. So to me, the only argument I would make on behalf of Tucker why he wasn't able to push it was because maybe the other side said, we will only do the interview if you don't push and you only have 28 minutes. And Tucker had a list of 7 questions to ask in those 28 minutes, and he knew he couldn't stay on that one topic. And he even said at the beginning of the interview, there's some questions I'm not going to be asking because we all know we're not going to be getting the answers. Well, that applies to anybody, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you can ask Ted some questions about AIPAC. Are you really going to get all the answers on this whole thing about, Qatar is doing what they're doing with the money? So is Israel with AIPAC. So we can't say that's also not happening. This isn't a part of that. The only difference for me here, I'm not going to sit here. By the way, just so everybody knows, I don't make friends when I take these positions because I don't fully gain my Israel audience and I don't fully gain my, the lady yesterday, because the VT News contest winners were over here and they had a chance to come through here and
Heather and the crew.
Yeah, Heather and the crew. And I had cigars with them last night at the cigar lounge. It was Heather Irby, she's listening on the way to the airport.
Yes, she is.
Loris Spatofra, I think he came all the way from Montreal, if I'm not mistaken. And we had Zach Geoff, who were here. Very nice gift. Zach, that gift that you gave me is in my car, just so you know. Vinny says as well.
Mm-hmm.
The scripture, it's in my car. And I read through it. But we're sitting there last night. You know what she says? She says, I follow the comment section so closely. And it's so interesting. 1 minute, the Muslims are so happy that you're calling out Israel. And 1 minute, the Jews hate you. And the next minute, the Jews are so supportive of what you're saying about Muslims. And the next minute, Muslims hate you. It's so funny. It's like nobody really knows. I'm like, look, what do you want us to do? We're not making friends here with the positions I'm making. We kind of telling you where it is. But the reality of it is, you want me to sit here and believe that death upon America is not what it means? Get the hell out of here trying to talk to people as if they're dumb. trying to, then change your language. Language is a form of art in your country, Iran. You know how powerful language is. Change it. You have the right. By the way, what says Khamenei and the president cannot stand up today? Today. What says today? Khamenei and the president of Iran cannot stand up in front of their people and say, moving forward, we can no longer use the words death upon America and death upon Israel. Can you say that? Can you say that? Can you get up and tweet that? Can Khamenei on his Twitter account that is still active till today, can he get up there and say, moving forward, we are a religion of peace.
Yeah.
And as a religion of peace, leading the rest of the world, we will no longer be using the phrase death upon America and death upon Israel, even though the amount of damage that they've done to our great country of Iran. Let's just say you say that. Even with that last sentence, I would retweet that if they put that up there. But they won't do it.
0%.
Because it's part of their profile. Because it's what they believe in deep down inside. That rage, that anger is in them. And they keep duplicating that with others. So yes, to the people that are upset that Tucker did the interview, I am so glad he did the interview. Phenomenal job with the interview. Because you either are being sold into a bunch of BS propaganda that death upon America really means, it's a shot at crime. You really are that naive? If you're really that naive, wait till you see what's in store for you in the future. If you're that naive, wait till you see what's in store for you in the future. Wait. Naive people are going to get, I can't use this word, but it's going to get very bad for naive people in many different ways. You're going to fall for it, and you're going to fall for it, and then eventually you're going to be like, oh my God, I thought it was just, but that person on social media was saying this, but I thought they were all good. No, naive people get destroyed. Wake up, folks. Wake up. Only the paranoid survive. Wake up. That's what's going to be happening. These guys are just trying to sell you a bunch of propaganda, and unfortunately, some people are buying it.
I want to ask you this. Speaking of Khomeini, he came out and just made his first appearance since the whole war. Yeah. Makes first public appearance since Iran-Israel started. He came out, and of course, he comes out and he says, Tehran had delivered a slap to America's face by striking the U.S. base in Qatar, warning against further U.S. or Israel attacks and aggression.
Hysterical.
Right. Like after we just destroyed their nuclear program, took out all their sites, zero missile defense at this point, but they're the ones that, took out our base in Qatar. And then you see what Trump's response was. He goes, look, man, you're a man of great faith, a man who's highly respected in his country, but you have to tell the truth, buddy. You got beat to hell. This is what Trump said to Khomeini. So here's my question to you. They just lie and lie and lie. If you're Tucker, or if you're Tucker's producer, and you push back against Ted Cruz, we saw what you can do. But then you give zero pushback against the president of Iran, who's lying to your face. Why does Tucker not push back in your eyes? And if they say, listen, you have a half hour, please don't push back.
I think that's the reason. I honestly think that's the reason.
So then you're bought. You're paid for. So which one is it?
I'm not going there. I'm not going there, bro. I just think you had 28 minutes. Sometimes when you got a 28-minute interview, your job is, because remember, in the court, he's a journalist. So it's like, what? Here's the questions. Go, audience, react.
Yes.
And make up your mind, right? The podcast, this was not a podcast. What he did here was a Fox News interview. That's what that was.
With the translator.
But the Ted Cruz is a podcast. By the way, the Putin was a podcast. The Putin is not the Fox thing, because you had 2 hours with the guy. Putin gave you 2 hours. He could have pushed with Putin. I don't criticize him on this one. On this one, I just think the only a little bit was death upon America, and we've always been a religion of peace and all this other stuff. He had 20. It's very hard to do.
I look at it a little bit differently. If he went to Russia to interview Putin, we saw how he just made how the train stations are so amazing. I would argue when you're in the presence, in the Kremlin, maybe you don't want to do a little pushback. All right, fear for your life. We just talked about some guy who just suicided himself. Okay.
Yeah.
You're doing a freaking Zoom interview with the president of Iran, and who lies to your face about death to America, and you're like, all right, next question. You don't want to push back 30 seconds, Tucker. You don't want to take 30 seconds for 28 minutes to maybe give a little pushback. To me, that we talk about how Dan Bongino or Kash Patel or Pam Bondi are losing credibility. This is why you lose credibility. You're not going to push back for 30 seconds, bro.
I see your point there.
It's weak.
But I just see it a little differently. If I got 28 minutes, I want to get as many answers out of him as I can. And if he gives me that Death to America, I think in my head, I'm going to put a narration on the front of that, and I'm going to call this guy out on the short clip. And I'm going to publish the clip. I'm going to say, and then I asked him this about bop, 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 bop. And then he did this. I can clip that later because I got my answer and I can go with it. And it would be so obvious to the jury of public opinion that sits out there. But in 28 minutes, I want to get as many answers out of him as possible, which gives me as many places to go as possible.
And just so you're saying that you'd basically justify not pushing back after the fact, but not during the interview.
No, during the interview, it's like, and that was a long question. Which part of that are you going to push back on? You're going to go, wait a minute. Did you just say all that?
Exactly.
That's a long question from the guy.
I mean, all he had to do was with this goofy chuckle and just like laugh at the guy's face.
Yeah, well, my thing is, and I think, Pat, me and you talked about it a couple of days ago when it actually happened, saying, I'm not even going to ask him this because we know what the answer is going to be. I don't like that. Ask it so I could see the guy's body language. I want to see his face.
Bingo.
I want to see, even if he goes whatever, BS, I want to look because we're not dumb, but we could tell a body language question. Don't be soft in that sense, and that's where people start asking questions about, and don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Tucker. I think he's one of the most important voices to do, especially this type of stuff. But I do agree, you got to push back, especially Death to America, and you're one of the most pro-American patriots out there. I would have been like, whoa, seriously, bro, seriously. Just something.
One pushback.
One
Just
pushback.
one
But I
little
get
pushback.
it. And you nailed it.
4 seconds.
He's doing Zoom, bro,
0
with the interpreter. It's less than 28
I don't
minutes.
know. Listen, guys, I hope he does more of these. So I know this is not a popular for some of you guys. I hope he does more of these. And there's nobody that gets more criticism when you interview crazy people like this, but we need more of them. We need them talking. So in whatever context that you get a person talking, get them talking, okay? Let them talk. And with that, this to me is a success because I get to see, because at the end of the day with Iran, with everything that they're going through, this was the closest Iran got to a regime change. Closest.
Gone.
Iran got to a regime change in
where's it
46
now?
years, and that's gone. Boom, period. It's gone to the next one. And who knows when the next one's going to be coming around. Again, that doesn't mean that there's not a surprise and an ace up Trump's sleeve that something could happen in the next few weeks or few months. Because one thing Trump's made very clear, I freaking love it. I know most people don't like this. He's made himself very unpredictable. It is such a great quality when it comes down to a president that's going against his enemies, and you need to stay a little bit unpredictable, and he's doing that, okay? All right, so let's go to the next story here on what we got with, what do you call it, New York Mayor Mamdani. I'm going to go to the New York Mayor situation, and I'm going to come back to the financial stuff. So this is getting very interesting here, to the point where Bill Ackman, $10 billion guy, backs Mayor Adams, to stop socialist Mamdani and calls on Cuomo to drop out. Here's his tweet. In summary, in a light of inability to add a new name to the ballot and the low probability of success of a write-off in campaign, the only candidate with a credible chance to beat Mamdani are Cuomo and Adams. I met with Adams and Cuomo to discuss the upcoming election, and I spent an hour or so with each of them. In short, my takeaway is that Adams can win the upcoming election and that the governor should step aside to maximize Adams' probability of success. I say this while having a high regard for Andrew Cuomo and his contribution to New York State, but it was abundantly clear in his body language, his subdued energy, and his proposals to beat Mamdani that he is not up for the fight. Bill Ackman is becoming a heavy, he's always been, but he's becoming at the highest level right now, a power player on what types of things they're doing when it comes down to stuff like this. And while this is going on, NYPD retirement reportedly hits historic high, and union says Mamdani could make it even worse. So cops are sitting there saying, what the hell am I being a cop in New York City for, especially when a guy like this is about to come right behind us and become the mayor. The New York Police Department is experiencing a historic high retirement with 1,555 officers filing for retirement. Ready? This week, folks. This week. That's a 48% increase from last year and a 65% increase from a decade ago, which was 941, according to data provided to the New York State by the New York Post by the PBA. Union leaders reported to the Post that this level of retirements in the first half of the year is unprecedented in New York history. Democratic Socialist Mamdani's mayoral candidacy is seen as exasperating the NYPD's staff crisis, with the past statements on X calling the NYPD wicked and corrupt and advocating to defund it, dismantle it, end the cycle of violence. PBA President Patrick Hendry stated that the city cannot afford a leader who ignores the staffing crisis or pushes the NYPD backward. Tom, thoughts?
So what's really interesting going on right now is what's behind the scenes. Everybody that is on the capitalist side and the stability side are freaking out, and industries are getting behind them. Check this out, what just happened over the weekend. Over 4th of July, Eric Adams was going party to party to party up and down the Hamptons in Long Island. But he wasn't there having a beer and clinking glasses. He was there because they're concerned. And you've got the real estate investors and who are concerned about, what is a real estate investor concerned about, Vinny? Enough people to rent your building, or businesses to rent your building if it's commercial. And if the economy gets screwed up, there's no one to rent your building. And so they don't want that. And during his tenure, Eric Adams made friends with developers. And he had this thing called the City of Yes program. So you know what he was doing? Trying to make permitting and building easier and quicker. Who is not doing that? California, right? Shit. But he was out there trying to be the City of Yes. So the City of Yes initiative, and they greenlit apparently 80,000 new homes in New York. Now that's going to be different type of buildings and things like that because they don't have any property. It's how you rebuild on what's already there. There's Castamatidis, Fischel, Mark Holliday. All these folks are out there saying two things. Andrew, please don't run a disruptive third party. And you know what Cuomo told them? Apparently, he said, I'm not making up my mind till September. I may make up my mind on doing it or not doing it September. So what he's saying is the 60-day run from September to Election Day, that's when Andrew Cuomo, supposedly, that's what these people are saying, and we know his brother, and we could probably get confirmation or not, but are saying he's going to wait until then to do it. And they're asking him, Andrew, please assure us you're not going to do that. Let's all line up behind Eric, and let's run this thing. And there were more than just real estate, but there was all kinds of people in the Hamptons. And again, I weren't there celebrating fireworks. They're all taking this very, very serious. And these were supposedly ultra serious meetings among the levity of 4th of July, but deadly serious because they're concerned about the economic future of their city and don't want it led by a socialist. And they were all saying, Eric, we got money behind you. We may not agree on everything from before, but we're with you. And the developers were recultivating and saying, we think you got it right with City of Yes, and we're with you.
How much, Tommy, how much do you think Andrew Cuomo has a chip on his shoulder for how the Democrats treated him with all the scandal, and they basically got his ass out? How much of this is revenge and payback to say, F all of you, because you guys treated me like this, I'm going to be the disruptor of this, and he doesn't care if the city burns?
Well, I can't read his mind and tell you how much, but how can there be zero?
Yeah.
There cannot be a zero chip on Andrew Cuomo's shoulder.
One phone call fixes that.
You know?
One phone call fixes that.
From DJT?
One phone call from DJT fixes that. One phone call.
If Trump calls him and says, yo, bro, we're not trying to have a freaking communist, a jihad sympathizer.
One phone call. Because remember, Trump had a relationship with Mario Cuomo.
Mm-hmm.
Trump wrote Mario Cuomo a letter. And if you get that book of all of Trump's letters that he got, I think the second page of the book is a letter from Mario Cuomo. And that's Andrew Cuomo's father. I don't know if you, can you find, that one right there. Can you find a letter from Mario Cuomo to Trump?
That's Cuomo to that's Trump to Cuomo.
No, there's one letter that's from Mario Cuomo to Trump. It's on the second or the third page. Who wrote it to who? I know it's in that book right there with all the letters. But I think someone needs to find a way to save Andrew Cuomo's face. And I think there's only one person that can do it. Because the reality of it is, they really went after him. He had a massive screw up. No one's going to sit here and not dispute the fact that he did a massive screw up. Mm-hmm. He had it, and it was tough, and he had to address it, and he's going to have to address it for a long time to come. every time you interview Monica Lewinsky, guess what's going to always come up?
Bill Clinton and the cigar.
And every
the
time you interview
dress.
Bill Clinton, guess what's going to come up?
Same thing.
Yeah, so guess what? It's part of your story. You're gonna have it that's going to come up no matter what. So, but to me is, as you're going into New York, I have some thoughts, but Adam, I'm going to get your thoughts before I get into mine. What are you thinking about Mamdani? What's going to happen with Adams, with the New York situation, with the cops? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, just welcome to the world in 2025, where in the heart of New York, in the heart of capitalism, the heart of the United States, you're about to tell me that a communist, jihadist is potentially be the mayor of New York City? Yeah, it's 2025. So it's sort of writing on the wall. So a couple things that are going on in New York. Number one, we're about to find out how selfish and or delusional Andrew Cuomo is, because the Democratic Party in New York told him to his face how they feel about him. They'd rather have Mamdani.
This is not about him being delusional, Adam.
Well, clearly he's delusional
No,
if he hasn't dropped out of the race yet.
No,
because
he's offended.
Well, then he has to remove his emotions from.
That's not how it works, though.
Well,
he's offended, and he feels like he's given the city his entire life.
I understand that he's offended, and he has a right to be defended.
Sure.
But the Democratic base, the people who voted for him, and basically said, "Thank you, your time has come. Go away. We'd rather have this person." And this is not a glitch.
You're not wrong
in the Democratic Party. This is what the modern Democratic Party in New York, the progressives, want. This wasn't an accident that they wanted Mamdani. This wasn't like, oh my God, they wanted him. The Democratic left progressives say, no, this is what we stand for now.
Mamdani.
We stand.
The state became more Republican, but the left became more left.
The city I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the state. He's not. This isn't the governor's race.
I get it.
This is the city of New York.
Yes.
This wasn't an accident. They said, no. Yeah, the socialist guy.
Sure.
The jihadist guy. Yeah, that's our guy. Because that is who the Democratic Party is at this point.
Right.
And if you don't believe me, look at the numbers. They talked about a poll. Harry Enton, I think, did a thing about how in the last 10 years, the Republican Party in 2015, how do you feel about patriotism and how patriotic are you? How do you view America? It went from 90% in 2015 to 92% in 2025. 2% difference. The Democratic Party, the pride in being an American has plummeted. Is this the stat right here? So Democrats are no longer proud to be American. Democrats are no longer proud of what American values are. Patriotism is not going the right way in the Democratic Party. And New York is the tip of the spear where they're like, dude, F America. We want someone to come in here and blow it all up. Give us Mamdani. So the last but not least, follow the money. Here's a couple articles. You talked about how Bill Ackman is basically potentially funding Eric Adams. Big real estate people are going to be funding this. There's a flip side to the coin, which I text you, Rob. You ever see these like billionaires that are also socialists? Like the Mark Benioffs of the world?
Yes.
It's a weird concept. So now they're calling it the Mamdani millionaires. The millionaires who are supporting the socialist for New York City mayor. I don't know. I don't understand it. But right now we're sort of in the summer malaise of like, all right, let's have some fun. It's summer. Come the fall, all eyes are going to be on New York City because the election is in November, yeah? It's just heating up.
Yeah, this is not going to go. And by the way, this former AOC backer, Rob, I don't know if you have this clip or not, has stark warning for young Mamdani fans. Watch this here. Go for it.
So New York City just nominated this guy, Zohran Mamdani, who is a socialist, to represent them for the mayor's election. And if I was 25, I would be obsessed with Zohran. When I was 25, I was actually 26, 27, I helped get AOC elected. I made a video for her campaign that went super viral. I met her a ton of times, and I was a huge AOC person. Now I'm 35, and like every stereotypical person, I've grown up, and I've learned that these feel-good politics of promising free food, free college, free apartments, like you get free, you get free, you get free. It feels so good. You feel as a young person when your frontal lobe is not fully developed and you're thinking more in black and white that this is going to be good, right? You're indoctrinated as a young person in America to believe that capitalism is bad and all your problems are because of these evil business owners. But I have to warn young people who are caught up in the Mamdani vibe is that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And we've seen time and time again in countries and cities that adopt these socialist programs is that the rich people who are going to pay for them are going to leave because of a high taxes. And then we just get more taxes and less for it. And one example of this on a smaller scale is in New York in 2019, there was a law that was passed by the state house, all Democrats, to pause rent hikes on rent stabilized apartments. So they could no longer rent hike. So say, for example, an apartment is rent stabilized. It's had the same tenant since the 1970s. It comes up for rent. Landlords, because of this law, can only raise the rent by 2%. So say in 1970, someone was paying $200 a month. You're now going to be paying $220 a month in 2025. But the problem is that rent stabilized apartment needs to be renovated and brought up to 2025 code. So because of this law, what's happened is now there are tens of thousands of empty apartments in New York that are rent stabilized that the landlords are not renovating because they know they cannot make their money back if they renovate them. And again, these landlords are not like evil people. And when you're indoctrinated into this sort of leftist, oppressed mindset, you think like business owners are evil. They're not. Many of them are small businesses, you know, they're working on a margin. And so it's not affordable for them to.
Good for her. Right.
Hell yeah.
What's her name? I just want to give a shout out to her.
She's awesome.
Can you go back all the way to the front to see what her name is? So I think her account.
It's Lucy Biggers.
Lucy Biggers. Lucy, good for you. I don't know what you do for a living. I don't know where you are, but good for you. You ought to keep creating more content and maybe even starting your podcast if you don't already have one. By the way, do you know what happens to rich people? They migrate to other places. This is millionaire migration in 2025. Look at the country all the way to the bottom. Who is losing the most millionaires right now? UK.
Holy
Can you
cow.
tell me why? What has entered UK causing millionaires to leave UK? What do you think? I wonder what it is, right? Of course, it's got nothing to do with
the migration. Hell no.
Migration from Pakistan and other places. What's the number 2 country at the bottom, Rob? China is losing people. India's losing. South Korea, Russia, Brazil, France, Spain, Germany, Israel.
Oh, look at BRIC, the liberal darlings of the new emergence.
Right.
All the BRIC
Vietnam,
people are leaving BRIC.
Yeah, South Africa, Indonesia, Nigeria, Iran, Lebanon. Now go all the way to the top, Rob. Go all the way to the top, and it's not U.S. Look who's number 1. UAE. If you can zoom in a little bit, Rob, there you go. UAE number 1 ahead of U.S. Then it's Italy, Switzerland, Saudi Arabia, Singapore,
Georgia.
Portugal, Greece, Canada, Australia, Hong Kong, Japan, Malta, and you got the rest of the countries there, right? Guess what? If you don't take care of your job creators, there is another state, city, or a country that would be more than happy to take them. So if UK policies don't protect the job creators and those who work their asses off with their investment that reinvest into the economy in UK, they're going to go to a different country. By the way, you know what DeSantis offered for cops that want to come to Florida? Do you remember the bonus that he was offering? Who remembers that?
What was
$5,000.
Yeah.
Remember, it was a $5,000. If you can find that, the $5,000 bonus he had for cops, is that it? Launched in 2022, the first of its kind, underscores Florida's nation's leading commitment to supporting law enforcement. The program provided a one-time $5,000 bonus after taxes to newly employed officers to show appreciation and incentive for choosing to serve Florida. A lot of those guys that are resigning from New York may be moving to Florida to be a cop here. And guess what? We like cops in Florida. If Mamdani wants to kind of do this, the point is the city's going to get unsafer. So I would not be surprised if the most random people get involved to help Adams get this done. But do not be surprised by the crazies to also show up to make sure Adams doesn't get it done in the state of New York, in the city of New York. And my thoughts on Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo was offended, and he is either got to be welcome to a different party because he's not welcome to the Democratic Party. Nope. He's either got to be, making a decision to go independent, Republican. He's got to make a move. He is not going to be able to get nothing done with the party he's a part of because they're not fans of yours, period. Okay? He's either got to apologize and just add a royal screw up with XYZ and find a way to go on a podcast and talk to a bunch of different people to kind of get it off because you have to go through it, right? You kind of have to go through it. He hasn't done that yet. And if you keep playing this card of not willing to do that, guess what? The market's going to say, look, all we want to hear from you is you effed up and we'll move on. That's all we want to. He said it a couple times, but I think he can do a better job with that. I think the only thing he needs to be welcome somewhere. I think he's been offended. Then one phone call could address that issue No problem. Okay, so let's talk.
Do you think he should drop out, though?
Yeah, I think he should drop out. There's no question
Yes.
about it. He should drop out. That's not even a question.
Okay.
Weather agencies under fire after failing to warn of Texas floods. Okay, so check this out. This is catastrophic, and I don't know if you have the clips of what happens with it. I don't know what word to use, Rob. I mean, this is devastating, scary. You know, the story of one father breaks his arm, is bleeding to save his family, and he's telling his family, you guys go, I'm bleeding too much. I'm not going to be taken care of just to save them. So let me read the stats. Do we have it in here or not? National Weather Agency Service faced criticism for the delayed floods warning in Texas, where the Guadalupe River surged nearly 30 feet. That's 3 stories, killing at least 50 people, including 15 children with the residents. That's July 6th. I don't know what the exact update is today, Rob. I think that number is changed.
Addendum page 2 at the top. Texas flood death toll tops 100.
Oh, my God.
As of last night, 100 have passed away, 28 children, 27 campers, and staff.
You got to be kidding me. Okay, so that number's...
and there's still 30 some odd missing.
This will be a rough week, and we need your prayers. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick acknowledged flood warning sirens along the Guadalupe River that have saved lives but was not installed due to cost concerns. Rescue efforts face challenges with ongoing flash flood risk. As the National Weather Service warned, any storm that moves across the extremely vulnerable region will rapidly cause flash flooding, predicting 2 to 3 inches of rain per hour on Monday night, with up to 10 inches possible in some areas. Chris Boyer, Executive Director of National Association for Search and Rescue. You've got to get these folks quick, but with floods, you don't typically find a lot of people alive. Rob, go ahead and play this clip here.
Any of this have to do with Doge cuts?
Absolutely not. The National Weather Service did a stellar job. 2 days before, I read a lot of discussions coming out of the Weather Service. We have very talented people that are working at these Weather Services office. And 2 days before they were outlining it, they issued the flash flood watch 12 hours in advance, the warning 3 hours in advance. Contrast that to the Estes Park flood back in '76 in Colorado. It killed 144 people. Same kind of channeling of water with stalling thunderstorms. The first flood warning was not issued till 3 or 4 hours after the flood was going on. So that's absolutely, they were all ready for it. They understood their duty. And a lot of the guys that work in these Weather Service offices, they look at themselves the same way as people, that are in the Army, that they're trying to, help their country. And they did a great job with this, but how do you get that warning out at 1:30 or 2 in the morning? And you got to understand, folks, this area of Texas, from Del Rio to west of the Metroplex, is known as the Flash Flood Alley. Okay, Kerr County, 1987, July 16th, had the same thing. The Guadalupe River went out of control. Medina, Texas, a dying tropical storm, dumped 48 inches of rain. Then the next day went up to Shackelford County and dumped 30 inches of rain. Your daughter goes to A&M. I grew up down there. My dad went there. I can remember Tropical Storm Abby came in '64. The darn Brazos River was a mile wide. That's how fast the water comes up in Texas. And it's any mountainous area, this will happen. We had it here in Pennsylvania. Johnstown flood, July of '77, 12 to 16 inches of rain in a 6-hour period, and broke all the dams around Johnstown.
Yes, I have here's the Guadalupe River as it overflows. So it takes about 37 minutes, this entire video, but they fast forward it. You can see the water starting to rush.
Crazy this is.
So this is where it begins, and then I'm going to fast forward real quick.
Go for it.
And look to what it gets to.
Oh, my God. It's like a tsunami.
Keep going.
And it gets even harder. Look, I mean, it starts overtaking the bridge.
Jeez, bro. Does it get worse than that?
You
get stuck in that, you're done.
Oh, well, yeah. Where you go? You're finished.
They just start showing the debris starts piling up near the bridge, and it starts sending water over the bridge as well.
God.
Okay, Tom, your thoughts on this?
So this is horrifying as a weather event, and you just have to take the warning seriously. And unfortunately, I read a lot about people that says, these warnings used to happen like every other day in this area. And sometimes you don't take them seriously. And those campers, it was at night. It was 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. where the campers, where phones were going off. And sometimes just tempted to go, oh, yeah, another flood warning. And it's clear that in these camping areas, apparently they didn't take it seriously, wake everybody up and just go out to high ground. And it's that simple. High ground is only a couple miles away, and it's that simple, and they didn't do it. And I think the alarms and the warnings with people that I've read that are upset with the Weather Service and saying maybe they happen too often, you're doing too good of a job, and it kind of numbed everybody, like the boy who calls wolf. And this came between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., as I understand it. And by the time you got much later than that, you were in trouble. Because once it started, they said at 45 minutes, I think it said 27 feet and 46 minutes was the Guadalupe River at that area where the camps were. And they're right. Once you're in, it's gory and it's terrible, but it's not like you put on a life preserver. You're moving at high speed and you are being rammed into things and you are being hit by tree debris. And so people that drowned often drowned unconscious. It's just, there's no safe way out once this wall of water with all the debris in it happens. And so my assessment was the phones went off, gang, and there's a lot of people that didn't pay heed to that. But it also happened at 2 to 4 a.m. So you got to pop out of bed, get going, get those kids in the trucks, and get out of there.
I mean, there's some very strange tweets made by some people. Vinny, I don't know if you saw some of these tweets.
Yeah, like this is Christina.
The cloud
May all
seeding?
Visitors, children, non-MAGA voters, and pets be safe and dry. Kirk County MAGA voted to gut FEMA. They deny climate change. May they get what they voted for. Bless their hearts.
May I,
go ahead, Robbie.
real quick, this is Caroline Levitt dismissing that narrative.
Democrat elected officials are trying to turn this into a political game, and it is not. This is a national tragedy, and the administration is treating it as such. We know the National Weather Service provided early and consistent warnings. They gave out timely flash flood alerts. There were record-breaking lead times in the lead up to this catastrophe. There is ongoing flood monitoring, and these offices were well staffed. In fact, one of the offices was actually overstaffed. They had more people than they need. So any claim to the contrary is completely false, and it's just sad that people are pushing these lies.
No one's talking about, and you can find it. You can find it on X, of the groups of people and trucks and everything. No one is talking about how many people got out that are at this mall parking lot. They said, yeah, we were rolling at 3 a.m. We heard this and we came up here, and now they're telling us you can't even go back there. So we're stuck here for a couple days.
Yep.
And there's all those people. Where do they come from?
Yeah.
They got the warnings and they heeded the warnings and they got out. And so no one wants to talk about all the people that got out. Now, in the face of tragedy, loss is first and foremost the thing to worry about. But you know what happened is happened late at night. That's what happened. Yeah. If there was even an inkling to what was coming, and this is 9 a.m, I don't think the death toll is here. I think it happened so late at night, but a ton of people got out and got in their trucks, and those are the people that are in there saying, we don't think our cabin's there. We don't think our place is there. We were down here visiting. We don't think our vacation thing is here. I unhooked. The guy that says, I unhooked the RV, everybody got in the pickup. He had a fifth wheel called big trailer in the back. I unhooked it and we left. I don't think it's there.
Yep.
What? Where?
Yeah, exactly.
Where I left because I got the warning.
Yep, exactly. And in these moments,
what's that, Rob?
Okay.
This is CBS News reporting on a U.S. Navy, Coast Guard. His name's Scott Ruskin. Saved 165 people in the flood.
Let me see this.
As the Guadalupe River surged in Texas on the 4th of July, U.S. Coast Guard rescue swimmer Scott Ruskin, who is from New Jersey, and his team flying through severe weather to get to Camp Mystic, where hundreds were trapped. On the ground, Ruskin, who was on his first mission out of Air Station Corpus Christi, finding himself setting up triage and comforting many girls at the camp.
It was pretty traumatic. I mean, you have a lot of kids. They're having probably the worst day of their life. They're missing friends, they're missing loved ones, they don't know where they are.
The 26-year-old who was sworn into the U.S. Coast Guard while at Rider University during the height of COVID, then rescuing 165 flood victims with the help of the Air National Guard.
They were in need of airlift. There was no other way to get them out. Bridges were gone, roadways were gone, and the water was coming up too high for boat rescue.
Man. Thank you for your service, buddy.
Oh, Scott
Frickin'
Ruskin,
A.
bro.
Are you kidding
Gangster.
me?
And then look at this. And in these moments of tragedy, and our hearts and our prayers go out to all the freaking kids that have deceased, men, everybody that's gone. You have guys like this stepping up and doing their thing, and it goes to show you. I mean, I don't know his political stance, but notice how the left and these Democrats respond in moments of tragedy. Like during the Biden administration, guys, when girls were getting raped and murdered, we criticized the Biden administration because of people like Mayorkas and all of them letting them in. When this type of natural disaster happens, this is when you see the true colors of the Democrat. And when we say they're the party of violence and they're the party of evil, they have no freaking souls. Did you see what Rosie O'Donnell, the sick, miserable woman, went on said? She tried to blame Trump for what happened.
Find a way to blame him. Find a way to blame him. Playbook page 1.
What a horror story in Texas. The flash floods in Texas. The Guadalupe River. 51 missing. 51 dead, more missing. Children at a camp. And you know, when the president guts all of the early warning systems
Lies.
and the
Didn't
weathering
happen.
forecast abilities of the government.
Lie.
These are the results that we're going to start to see on a daily basis because he's put this country in so much danger by his horrible,
Look at her.
horrible decisions and this ridiculously immoral bill that he just signed into law.
I think she looks great.
By the way, and think about
she
this.
looks incredible.
Yeah, she looks
Best
great.
she's ever looked.
Just like, what's her name? Kathy Griffin, Rob. You should find out a picture of her.
What's his name again?
Kids are dying in Texas, and her first thing, this miserable human being you are, Rosie O'Donnell, you're going to blame Trump, not the storm. Okay, you moved across the you left this country and you went to Ireland. Stay there. And nobody wants to hear your stupid ass opinion. Okay, they're not just floods, Rosie. They're funerals. Did you hear that guy? Little kids that have the worst moment of their freaking lives watching their friends die in front of them. Probably their mom or whoever die in front of them. And she wants to, you know what she says? Let me go in front of let me go tweet a stupid video. And by the way, she's saying that this big, beautiful bill did all this time. It's all a lie. Okay, the bill was about immigration enforcement, asylum reform, and border security. It has nothing to do with early flood warning systems. All right, it doesn't slash NOAA funding, and it doesn't shut down weather stations. Okay, it doesn't even touch FEMA. It's not even in the same category. Okay, girls are dead, and she's a freaking psycho. By the way, this is what this is what happens when you go for Trump invade your mind and your body and your soul. You turn into this person. That's Kathy Griffin, the one that had Trump's head chopped off. And I don't even, Pat, I just want to show you, this girl cusses a lot, so I kind of want to give them a heads up. You want to talk about evil? This girl says that little girls died because of racism, and look at the evil in her. And she says you reap what you sow. You want to see? Have you seen this one?
Let me see a little.
Okay, just look a bit.
Is this
I'm
the
gonna
aid to
say 'cause
Houston?
y'all scary as fuck, and I don't give a damn.
Look at her eyes.
Them little girls, them people died because of racism, not politics. Boom, I said it. I don't give a fuck.
Oh my God! Yeah.
I don't even want to
Oh
listen
my!
to this
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Disgusting human beings.
Adam,
Matt.
give final thoughts. So we can
Yeah,
get to
look, I'll just try to make some sense of this. Look, there's God-made natural disasters, and then there's man-made disasters. Every single one of the situations that happen in America is a combination of both. And it just, how do you sort of, where does it fall on the spectrum? So for instance, Hurricane Katrina, God-made disaster. But what happened with the levees? What happened with the LA fires just a handful of months ago, right? Was that God-made? Was that man-made? Now that we're seeing the Texas floods.
What do you mean God-made?
Natural disasters.
It's a natural disaster. Well, God's not up there making natural disaster. He allowed the broken world to spin.
Okay, maybe you're taking what I'm saying literally, but
I don't want other
hurricanes, earthquakes. These aren't, man doesn't cause these. Natural disaster caused these.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that God is
okay, good.
Pulling the strings and want this, but these are natural disasters. Yes.
Yes, I don't want people
gotcha.
to think that you're saying the other.
I don't think anybody interpreted like that, but thank you, Tom.
You don't read the comments.
The reality is this: something like this has happened in Texas before, in the 80s. I want to say
yes, 87. I actually have a video of that.
Okay, so maybe we can play that. But it's almost like fool me once, right? Shame on you. Fool me twice. Shame on me. Texas should have been better prepared for this. Now people want to blame Trump. Okay, I think the governor Abbott bears responsibility here. 25 feet of flooding. It's the greatest flooding I think they've ever seen since whatever in the 80s. There was a lack of warning systems. There was a lack of escape routes. You know, there's missiles that are flying in Israel every single day. The entire country basically has missile warnings. Get to shelter. How do they not have this in rural area in Texas? Flood warnings, any sort of device, mechanism to basically alert people. So not all floods are going to happen at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. It happened at 1 in the morning on July 4th, I want to say. So you can't predict the timing. What about escape routes? What's going to also, there's planning, there's budgeting, there's staff, there's questions of underfunding. The same questions that we asked in LA, the same questions that should be asked in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair to have the accountability. I will tell you, though, when stuff like this is tragic. The governor should take inventory and audit, see what's going on. Forget the nasty comments. This one right here, what the person made. Pediatrician fired right after the comments she made. What they voted for, that's what they got, the non-MAGA voters.
Unbelievable. That's
going to be happening. It's very nasty. You learn about people's profiles of where they're at. But the reality of it is, by the way, she got fired, just so you know.
Good.
They didn't do anything like that. She got fired. But Texas should find a way to address this. You know, we lived in Texas for 5 years. And, Tom, you lived in a place where the second floor, the pipes blew up and your bed fell on your daughter's bed. And God willing, thank God, nobody was in the house on that day when, you remember the cold weather when the pipes were blowing up and all over Texas. It was
all the pipes froze.
We had an event.
Spraying for an hour.
You remember TJ had an event at the Gaylord that they were freezing in the hotel room. Do you remember that Zoom that we were doing?
Yep.
And they're all cold there. But let's go to the last story here before we wrap up, Vinny. ICE in L.A. Mayor Bass confronts federal agents in MacArthur Park, demands withdrawal. Now, here, this thing backfires because you got to see this, folks. So MacArthur, according to Mayor Bass, is a very peaceful place.
Children skipping and playing.
Very peaceful place.
Yeah.
A federal immigration sweep by Immigration and Customs ICE occurred at MacArthur Park in L.A., Westlake District on Monday morning, with aerial images showing agents in armored vehicles, unmarked white vans, and on horseback, prompting L.A. and Mayor Bass to confront them, asking, can I talk to him? And stating, I'm going to let you watch this clip here. This is the scene, I believe it's at 11:07, call the sweep. Go ahead, Rob.
I am going to say.
Mayor Bass, I need to get my phone and we're departing.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mayor Bass. Mayor Bass.
Any comment, Mayor Bass?
Thank you.
Mayor Bass, any comment?
Yes, my comment is they need to leave, and they need to leave right now. They need to leave because this is unacceptable.
Who did you speak
Just
with?
wait and see.
Mayor Bass,
We'll be leaving soon.
Mayor Bass, who did you speak with on the phone just now? Who did you speak with on the phone?
The head of customs.
Wow.
Why don't you ever care this much when homeless junkies take machetes and hit women? What was the other clip, Rob?
So here's drone footage of what MacArthur Park usually looks like.
Yeah, you can let that. That's an average day at MacArthur Park. That guy's smoking crack. This guy just has a gun. Gang members are there. These guys are tripping out all freaking day. This is MacArthur Park, not what Karen Bass is lying to you guys about. For the people that don't know anything about California, if you never lived there, okay, that's what they're doing out in the open, shooting up heroin and doing crack. That's MacArthur.
They just need to have President Xi of China show up, just like Gavin Newsom will clean up San Francisco. That's what they got to do with this situation.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The fact that she's there, Pat, she's out there, okay, getting a photo op and interfering with ICE. Okay, that's obstruction. This isn't leadership. This is them going through. Did you see this?
This is
ICE.
nasty.
Yeah, they're going, Pat. They're going through to clean up the BS. They're going through.
Where is this, Rob?
This is MacArthur Park. This is the ICE agents arriving.
And they're walking through to make sure everybody get the hell out of there. And they're finding people that are illegally into the country. And they're getting rid of all the people that are doing drugs. Look. This is that, and this is them, Pat. This is a faster, sped up mode of it.
And what are they doing? They're trying to find people?
Well, they're just sweeping to get rid of everybody that's doing drugs. And they're looking for gang members. Because a lot of gang members and stuff hang out here and they're selling drugs here. That's what they're doing. So her showing up there, she's obstructing. That's what she's doing, okay? And meanwhile, she's there. The Madre fire is raging in San Luis Obispo, over 80,000 acres. It's not contained. This is her priority. Okay, and the Democratic
Party. She's the mayor of this place. San Luis Obispo is 2 hours away.
Yeah.
But the challenge is with how nasty that city has turned into. And is this going to lead to somebody else getting elected? Who knows? Is this going to lead into somebody else coming in, taking charge? And now you're seeing what ICE, Tom, did you see the stories about some of the employees are just not showing up to work because they're worried about someone's going to come and figure out that they're illegals and send them home? In California, there was a story there last week we had on that, Rob. I don't know if you remember that. I'm sure it didn't roll into today's story.
It's in Immigration News, page
you do have it?
11, yes. ICE raids derail Los Angeles economy
There
as
you
workers
go.
go into hiding.
What page is that? Is that addendum or main page?
Main page 11.
Guys, if you're watching this and you want these notes that we're going through, all you have to do is go to PBD Podcast, Connect Circle, and that's the QR code right there. Go to it. You'll be able to follow these stories with us and connect with other people that watch the podcast. But let me go to this. So ICE raids derail LA economy as workers go into hiding. This is from Bloomberg. Immigration raid by ICE between June 6th and June 22nd arrested 1,600 people in LA. Damn. Targeting car washes, construction sites, and day labor hubs, causing workers like farmers and landscapers to abandon job sites. Arturo Snyder, chief executive officer of Primestor, said, we don't have enough people to staff and work, and we're scrambling to figure it out, noting that it's triggering delays. Mayor Bass stated, we know that Los Angeles is the test case, and we will stand strong as the raids cause severe economic damage to rebuilding efforts post-wildfires. The raids have disrupted LA's economy, already strained by wildfire that torched over 16,000 structures, with a report estimating a need of 70,000 additional workers by mid-2026. Claire de Beer, founder of LA-based CC Ventures, said, we're already labor challenged and you're adding unpredictability through the raids, which is only going to increase cost and slow things down. Tom.
Hey, you know what? Their supply. So basically, the underground economy in LA is preying on these people that are coming here and paying them what they're paying them to do these jobs. And now that's been going on so long, so unchecked. Sanctuary state. Remember, we're not just a sanctuary city, Vinny. We're a sanctuary state, right? Okay. And now the raids are coming here to find out who's right, who's wrong. And this parallels into Trump talking about yesterday, saying that he will consider an amnesty program, or they're evaluating potential amnesty program that if you've been here, 4 years, no crimes, prove you've been paying taxes, even if you had a bogus Social Security number, you've been paying taxes, that, we'll figure out a path for you, because he's saying apparently, lobbyists and people from hospitality and agriculture are coming to him saying, hey, buddy, we get a lot of people here that we think they're good people, but they're here illegally. They shouldn't be here. And they're here illegally, but they're working for hotels or working for in agriculture. What if we had, this goes back to Obama and the Dreamer Act. Do we find out who's naughty, who's nice, and let the ones that are proven that you were paying taxes, behaving yourself, and trying to assimilate and working, not taking a bunch of free stuff, but actually working.
Is this it, Rob?
This is the announcement from July 4th, yes, about the amnesty program.
You probably saw I got myself into a little trouble because I said, I don't want to take people away from the farmers. And we're going to do something I think that's going to be good, because we want all the criminals out. Everybody agrees that we're finding the criminals, the murderers, the drug dealers. We're getting them the hell out of here. But the farmers, some of the farmers, many of you sitting right here, I have 4 friends right in the 5th row, but some of the farmers, they've had people working for them for years, and we're going to do something. We're working with Christie, and we're going to do something that we're going to sort of put the farmers in charge. And if a farmer's been with one of these people that work so hard, they bend over all day. We don't have too many people can do that. But they work very hard.
It's not there yet. He'll tighten up the messaging, because you have to find a way to give the messaging the right way, because there are some people that literally want everybody out. There's a group of people that want Every one of these illegal
and that's a lot. And you saw the Anton, Rob, was that a Anton CNN's poll?
I have some stats. Rob, I texted you a bunch of stuff.
Well, he said they're supporting what Trump is doing with deporting. This is it.
This was on CNN. Majority of Americans approve of deporting.
None of that is Fox, by the way.
I guess this is
but these were all taken within the last
illegal
month.
immigrants?
And there's real uniformity here. That's what I really think you see is
Zoom in a
real
little bit,
uniformity. Deported all immigrants who are here illegally. 55% of the New York Times. Marquette, 64%. CBS News, 57%. ABC News with a slightly different question, 56%. So what you're seeing essentially here is a very clear indication that a majority of Americans, in fact, when they're asked this blunt question, which I believe gets at the underlying feelings, do in fact want to deport all immigrants who are here illegally. There's no arguing with these different numbers because they're all essentially the same across
New York
4 different
Times,
pollsters.
Marquette,
You could just
CBS,
take it here.
ABC.
Closer to trust more in immigration, Democrats versus Republicans. Got 3 different polls for you across the board. They all tell the same story. Republicans lead on the issue of immigration. You see it here, CBS +6. You see it here, CNN +6. You see it here, Ipsos, even bigger, +19. No matter what poll you look at, no matter which way you cut it, the American public is with the Republicans. The American public is with Donald Trump.
Let me tell
and
you
to
why,
a much greater.
You know that chart we showed a minute ago on how much UK lost millionaires? Rob, just pull it back up because it's going to be a different clip than the other one. So some audience just watches clips. They don't watch the whole thing. Watch this one here. Zoom in all the way to the bottom. All the way to the bottom. Look who's lost the most millionaires. UK. It's not even close. Why? Migration. Forcing people to not feel safe of their country, so they're going elsewhere. And guess who's no longer number one? Go all the way to the top. We used to be number one. Guess who's number one?
UAE.
Now it's UAE. So U.S., this is a place we competed first place for many, many years. So a lot of Americans are like, look, man, you're going to come here. You're going to love America. You're going to love what we're all about. You're not going to sit here and trash us. You're a guest here. You better respect the house that you're coming to be a guest in instead of coming and trying to trash this place. If you want to do that, go back to your country. And I understand that part. It's actually a very clear argument. Adam, go ahead.
No, look, the stats, what does Tom always say? Words talk, numbers scream. The numbers speak for itself.
Are screaming.
They're screaming. Rob, I sent you a couple different things here. The biggest thing for me was how much the world has changed and perspective has changed just in the last 10 years. June of 2017, go down one. June of 2017, Trump's net approval on immigration. This was basically his first year as president. He's underwater 21 points. Now he's up. There's another stat over here that shows 2020, the Dems. Do you have that other one? This one right here. Who do you trust more on immigration? Do you trust the Democrats or you trust the Republicans? In 2020, when Trump had just left office and Biden was showing up, 32 points plus Dems. Now it's plus 40 swing in favor of Trump. Basically, what's happened is everything that Trump talked about, people weren't ready for 10 years ago. And now, as the manifestation has played out, especially under Biden, everyone's like, can we just have what Trump was talking about in 2016? And that's exactly what they're signing up for right now.
And by the way, it's not opinion. This is a poll of their opinion, but these opinions are being driven by facts. When we did the decision 2024, where week by week we counted down, we can tell you absolutely conclusively, in Arizona, you had Democrats and Republicans that could see the homeless, the illegal immigrants that were homeless by gas stations, by in front of Walmart. They saw it on their front porch, and immigration was number one for Democrats and Republicans in Arizona because they both took their children down to Walmart and both said, what is up with all this humanity here that doesn't make me feel safe? That's it. That's the way they felt in Texas. That's the way they felt in Mississippi. That's the way they felt in Florida. And then you go to Southern California, take a look what happened to San Diego and Orange County, how red that got during the election. Now go to Missouri. Missouri, all of a sudden, women's right to choose was number 2. The economy was number 1. Immigration number 3. Why? Because it wasn't sitting there on their front porch in Missouri. And so the experience that Americans are happening and what everybody saw with what was coming across the border, Americans have said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. This isn't an opinion poll. This is is a poll, but it's not an opinion. This is the experience of the American people under the last 4 years of unchecked immigration that are saying, wait a minute, make it stop. And they're happy that he made it stop. And by the way, would you like to know what community has the highest anti-illegal immigration sentiment?
Latinos.
First-generation citizen Latinos.
Yeah.
You go down to Miami and stuff, and they'll say, wait. I came here legally. My parents, my mom came here legally after my dad came here. We're talking first generations. These are people that you went to school with, Adam, in a community like Miami that was very diverse and had a high percentage of Hispanics. Pat and I saw it in PHP, a high percentage of people that are first generation. The first generation Hispanics, they are more. You know why? You know what they say? Vinny, this will make perfect sense to you. Because the illegals come to our neighborhoods because it's easy to hide, and they get people giving them lodging and helping them and stuff. And so then some of the bad apples are there in our community. We get impacted first because the criminal element hides right among our community. Where are they going to hide? Greenwich, Connecticut?
No. That was a good joke.
Well, okay, folks, there's a bunch of other stories we can get into, but we've been going for almost 3 hours today to catch up on a lot of stories, and we're going to be doing this again on Thursday. I ran a poll the other day, and I'm curious to know what you guys think about whether we should go back to doing the podcast 2 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, or we go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or we go every day, 5 days a week. A lot of people voted. It's somewhere there, Rob, that I retweeted from PBD Podcast. If you just go to PBD Podcast, it'll be right there under PBD Podcast. Some of you guys, if you have thoughts about this, if you want to connect us, let us know. Connect me, connect Vinny, connect Tom, Adam, or right there. That number's at 51% versus Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Rob,
Tuesday,
stop
Thursday.
smiling, bro.
So we'll see what direction we're going to be going and how that would work out, panels, all this other stuff. Let us know. And gang, if you love what we do here, press that subscribe button on the bottom. We'd like to see PBD Podcast get to 10 million subscribers because the audience is out there. People want to hear what we have to say, the arguments, the debates, the issues, and we appreciate your support on a weekly basis when you come and join us, no matter what part of the world you're in. Whether you agree with us or disagree with us, the fact that you tune in, we appreciate your time. You could be doing a lot of different things. God bless everybody. Take care. Bye-bye, bye-bye.